get that extra screen up again.
All right. There we're live now. So, okay.
Live, high-tech
So
redneck. Live.
remember the Command T is an extra tab. A Command N is an extra window. We're doing some tech real quick.
For the high-tech redneck.
High-tech redneck. And so then I'll go to Facebook here, and then I will tag you in it so you can see where it's at, and then you can share it to your pages here.
So if I want another page open, I can just control what?
You could either do it on another page or do it on another. So I'll tag your page. No, let me tag you. Let me see if I could tag you. It's just want me to tag your page.
Okay.
Hold on. We'll get to, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and it takes a little while for people to there it goes.
That's right.
For people to trickle in anyway. So here I tagged you just now, and then so you can share it to your page or your personal page, and then you could also share it to your business page if you'd like. Okay. Just hit the share button on Facebook.
On the other page I have open there, right?
Yep. And what's up, ladies and gentlemen? We'll wait for some more people to join us here, but let me do this, dude. I have a little opening thing that I can.
Who's that fella there from Canadian?
Right here, watch this.
Epic, dude. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm already stoked. Yeah.
You already have something for that for Unleashed too, I think.
We used to have the little but then that's old. I just go on now and just ask a question.
Cool, man.
Mostly with people's patience, I think.
Well, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another live stream. I have my buddy Duke, Uncle Duke, as he's more affectionately known as. And you guys read the description of the video that I just put up of Duke, because I think a lot of people just don't realize the extent of your knowledge and your talents, my man, and what you do. It's not just dogs, right? You help people not just with their dog. Well, why don't you introduce yourself, man?
Absolutely.
And I'll share it too while you're introducing yourself.
Thank you, Bill. I'm just figuring out how I share that while I was listening.
Were you able to share it?
I don't even see the live. I told you we go live.
Duke could do everything except for share the Facebook. No, it's
I'll let you know. I hire somebody to do this, but they're not available today, so that's a problem.
Everybody share this so we get as many people on the chat as possible.
Okay, Bill, I'm on Facebook. I go over to your page and
look at the updates. I just shared it too on my page, so we might need to reload that Facebook page.
Awesome. I see.
And then and then share that.
So share now in public. Yeah.
Yep, share that. And then while he shares that, you guys, if you are, what's up, Julie? Julie's here. What's up, man? Oh, and Larry's here as well. Larry, we got people joining us already. You guys share it, everybody. Let me see who is the first. Who will have to poop first, me or Duke?
Just for the record, I have pants on and I already went to the bathroom. I'm prepared.
There you go. Dude, I called.
We meant that before.
I called Larry after my live stream with Ivan yesterday, and he's like, "If you hear the echo in the background, I'm in the Kroger bathroom."
I couldn't have had a better guy to be in Scotland with. Honest to goodness, perfect.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? I saw your live. I'm not on the socials that much, but I logged in and I seen you and Ivan live there yesterday, and it was raining. At one part, it was really raining.
Oh, it was coming down on his end.
So it's freezing cold here, and it was like minus just this morning, ice. And now I can hear the rain pounding. I'm just like, that's weird.
I bring on the thunder. I bring the thunder.
Yeah.
And while I'm thinking about it too, at the beginning here, you guys support me on Patreon. I appreciate you all for as little as $5 a month, all the way up to $100 a month. And I put a link in the bio, and I've had an influx of new supporters, and I appreciate you all. And do you know what I think for my Patreon crowd? I'm going to be going to private client house today, and we're going to be introducing a puppy that's being flown in as we speak, Duke. So I'll check with the client, make sure it's cool. But you guys can see a little bit of what I do kind of behind the scenes with my clients and integration of puppies and working with the dogs. It's a little bit different than what people do because I'm really part of that household, and I'll be there a little bit later than I usually take appointments, about 7 p.m. tonight, but I'll upload that to my Patreon. So consider supporting me on Patreon, and we have Uncle Duke.
Cheers.
So cheers, brother. I got my
Juice.
little coffee here.
Bill, it's great to see you, man. I'm so excited. Now we will be a little bit limited time today. You can hear me okay? My voice is fine. Everything's on there.
You're good to go.
I'm actually packing, and I'm heading to Boston in the morning to get ready for my workshop. So it's the first time I've done a workshop out of country since Scotland, since Larry and I were in Scotland together. Honest to goodness, I had lots of life changes and lots of things come at you that you have to peak and roll and keep going. But it's been a journey. Not the same dude anymore. So I'm excited because you had mentioned you were giving them a little bio. That's cool stuff. I'm changing a lot of it in the way that I go at the workshops now because I've been doing this since I was a kid. Like you can go in my own bio, and I used to spend a lot of time in the doghouse at 4 years old, 3 years old, for reasons of personal avoiding abuse. So long story short, though, dogs are the easy part. You hear that you interview people we'll say this all the time. That's easy. The monkey drill, sit down, stand, heel, all those things. You can do anything with a dog in a sense that way, right?
Yep.
If they want to do something, right? And even if they don't, you can spend that time and have the relationship. So I've spent my whole life with dogs. If it wasn't for dogs, I probably wouldn't even be alive today. As a little child, telling them all my secrets and things like that. And life being how it is. And I will say, and it sounds crazy, blessed to have gone through a ton of adversity in my life, like tons, and stories I can't wait to share in the future related to dogs and faith and who I am. But I look at it this way: life is going to come at you. It never stops. Life is not pleasant, right? Life is not fair, and we're going to go through it. Everybody's got a story, amazing stories. In fact, in the last year and a half, couple of years, I might have, if I spoke to 300 to 400 professional dog trainers or people who are exploring changing their career because they've been into a career for so long, and it's just they're numb, they're done, they're over the top, right?
Burnt out,
and it's in everywhere. So you just reach a certain level, and it's interesting when I interview, and of course, I don't attract one side or the other, thank God. So you talk to balanced trainers, right? Which is great. We have the right values, but you know what? Nobody is living a lifestyle of that. We're a hot mess, right? So when I interview, they're either doing abundance in their job, everything's going good, but they're overwhelmed and they're trapped and they got anxiety. It's not a matter of money. It's time that they want. They built the business to control it. It owns them, or vice versa. They're in it. They're struggling. They can't make ends meet. They can't do these things. And I've experienced both of it. And it's weird because it's crazy. I'm not even 50, and I got almost 4 decades. I tell people if training dogs, so dogs are the easy part. And being in a family home where when I was 3, my parents split up, and I moved, and then right away within a couple of years when I started school in British Columbia, so out west, the island kid. And I started school out there, and then being a military brat when my mom remarried, so we moved around. So I was like school to school to school to school to school, and interesting. I learned, how to survive. You're the new kid in school all the time. You get your butt kicked all the time. You're that last kid I was never really a athletic kid. It's hard to believe because I did football and rugby and kickboxing and all that stuff. But back pre-high school, not a chance. I was what you do say is a compulsed puppy, with a lot of drive and potential. But I was the little one should be seen and not heard, and then a lot of stuff goes on and things. So it was interesting last night. You know, we talk about development and the down
Hmm.
or genetics. I think it's both has a very part to play, and in the environment that you grow up in and things and how you deal with the choices that you make is what creates us. Life comes at us. We have choices that we need to make, and we make those choices, and our consequences are it's who we become. It's who shapes us. So the dog training, when I tell people, like you're getting trained every day, whether you do anything or not, life is shaping you, it's shaping your dog, it's shaping your relationships. It's not going to stop. So what I look to is several years ago, and it was years ago, it was just dogs, right? Dogs and dogs. And I was really good with people because I had no choice, you know. it's
Yeah.
something I had to learn. And it was something I used to run from, right? And still sometimes it's like, hmm. But one of the things in my life must be I get this from my mother is I want to communicate with people. I really do, even though people have been nasty, you know. But what I just when I can't communicate, it just means there's this lack of connection where there's a disengagement and you can miss so much.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times too, and what last night, the biggest aha moment of talking to Ivan, and I spoke to him about it, was the canoe. Have you ever heard of the canoe or the ocean?
Ocean, I see that was good.
Well, and canoe's the same acronym, right? Same letters, everything. But I saw this video, and let me show it to you. Or this little slide here with the big five, right? And this one is canoe, right? But ocean is the same. And it conscientious,
Mhm.
right? Efficient, organized, easygoing, careless. Agreeableness, friendly, compassionate, versus cold and unkind. Neuroticism, sensitive, nervous, secure, confident. Openness to experience, intuitive, curious. Extroversion, outgoing, energetic, and I don't know why I've never heard of this stuff, bro. Or you got your glasses on.
The uncle stuff really comes into play now, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's where I mean, as we get older too, dude, I'm 47 now, right? So we're
Mhm.
right there next to each other. That's why we gel so well. And you guys, if you're watching this, hit the share button because this is a good one, man. This is Duke's my guy, a very good friend of mine, and you know that's one of the things that is really going to stick with me now, right? And with new information, we got to be willing to change, you know, and that's why we seek the help of other people. But if you keep doing the same thing expecting different results, that's the meaning of idiocy, basically. Like you have to be able to
Let's just be
change.
honest. How many times have you done it? I've done it. Try, and then I realized, oh, I'm being, yeah, I've done it. We all do it, right? And
Yeah.
it's one of the main drivers of why I became a coach because there's certain aspects where when you know, it's just I've been so blessed. You know, I've yes, I've gone to so many different schools, school to school to school to school. There's reasons, you know, the reason I became a pet trainer and stayed in this industry hardcore. Um, I never knew you could make a living back, you know, 100 years ago training dogs for a living. Yeah, I would have done it. I grew up in the woods. So I grew up actually thinking, how can I? And I knew, actually, I'm really lucky in a sense. I knew what I wanted to do. As a kid, I knew I was going to be working with animals. There was no question in my life. As an
Me
only
too.
kid, you know, moving around, spent a lot of time alone. I spent a lot of time in the woods. And that's hence that with nature, hunting, fishing, trying to seek peace, you know, and getting into things that I was really passionate about. I'd go out and just watch the ducks and watch them. I can take pictures of them and be passionate and just, you know, have pictures of look on the wall, but at the same time, open minded. You know, I need to survive. I'll eat them too. So this was a lifestyle, fishing, everything. And you know, as a young boy, I was volunteering with conservation officers. They were my mentors in the beginning when I was little. I remember sitting on the edge of the river in the wintertime on the snow watching Claire Birch. He was my first mentor. Band ducks, and I was just amazed. And I used to be that little kid, you know, like hi, you know, and the kid next door, right? So I'd like, do you want some help? No, you just stay over there. And after a while, I got a relationship, and after a while, that trust, you know, you build a little bit of trust, and then they take you out more in the trucks, and then after a couple of years, you're working, and that was my life: hunting, fishing, outdoors with dogs. At the time, my faith, I didn't have much faith in that aspect. My mom did; she kept me in that stuff, but back then I didn't think God cared two shits about me. It was the adversity that I went through, I really believed. But and then when I look back, very selfish, and I learned a lot. So I'll share that with you again sometime. But I became a coach because at a certain part in my career, I didn't know really how to take the business, the company to another level. I actually didn't even have that deep. I didn't have clarity. I lacked clarity when I actually started to branch out. When we met at ICP, I believe, right? Yeah, the first time we met.
Yeah,
I was
yeah, a
sick.
few
I
years
was
ago.
diagnosed,
Yeah.
with Crohn's disease before that, and it was only 4 weeks post surgery, open surgery, the ostomy bag, and I flew into the IACP. Never been to a dog conference off PEI in my life. I didn't even know if I was going to train dogs. Like I just needed to be around people who train dogs, and I was invited, and I went, and I met people that, oh man, it's just instantaneous, and that
Yeah.
just kept me going, and that actually turned everything on, and I'm glad I went. I went every other year. It actually gave me confidence, courage to travel wise, to do an opportunity to back then. I think now I could be dead wrong here. So I might have been like number 4 in the NePoPo aspect. This was wild 9 years ago, maybe 10. Time flies now, right? Jeez, I got
You were
grown.
actually in Belgium.
Yeah,
before they
so I
brought
was
over.
lucky. I was so blessed. But here's the cool thing: I did go there, and I remember my wife was telling me, she's like, "Do you really need to go and do the spin?" And I was like, "Yes, I do." That was something I wanted for my whole life. And then when the opportunity came, I actually contacted Larry, and he was building his house. I said, "Hey, this is an investment. Holy crap! I got to go to Belgium for 3 weeks," and he couldn't do it. So I'm like, a one-on-one. So I'm all in. So I got to spend that time with blessed. Oh my gosh, Bart and Michael changed my life a lot. They don't know it. They don't realize it, how much. I didn't share lots and lots. I was pretty messed up, right? It was so funny because if you look back, I have a YouTube video that I started. It was after that I shared it to inspire people to do the hard things in life, because I never shared that I was a hot mess, right? In certain things, but I know what I went through. I was diagnosed after Crohn's with PTSD, and once I get diagnosed, I knew what to attack. But at first, I didn't know. So
There's
all these little
something.
things in life, and here I am building a company and an organization, and it was just like, I don't know where to go. I hit this wall. How do I take people to better levels? Dogs are the easy part. And I hit this wall of struggling, and I want it more. I want to help more people. I want to have more impact, and I want people showing up and doing what they love to do, having the right people on the right path. Because I knew right from a little kid, but it wasn't until years later, I went through the conservation enforcement. I was with a canine unit for a couple of years, and then everything turfed. I lost the job. My dad died. My house burned down. That's the country song. And I was 21. So I went from law enforcement to selling drugs. I had to go run a pharmacy. He was the pharmacist. That was stressful.
Legal drugs.
Yeah, legal drugs. I wasn't a pharmacist. I'm just this young kid that's a conservation canine dude. I go into the pharmacy industry, and of course, I inherit $750,000 of almost, maybe $500,000 with a debt. I was like, "What are you going to do?" And that's a funny story, but you know what? Coaches in the pharmacy and showing up every day, despite the fears, despite the anxiety, despite the stress, just showing up and knowing, having faith. I don't have no idea what I'm into here, way over my head. I'm taking up head to head with Walmart, Sobeys, and Superstore, these big chains. They were putting in the pharmacies and in their grocery stores back then.
Yep, blowing up.
And I just knew I'll figure it out. But it's not what I wanted to do. I did that 5 years, and with coaches, good coaches in the business and the industry, I sold that to Shoppers Drug Mart, and I went all in on dogs. Now here was the main driver. If anybody wants to know why I stayed in pet, because I wasn't going to stay in the pharmacy. I was actually going to join the RCMP and go with the canine unit with them. Hence, I volunteered as an auxiliary for 20 years and realized I don't want to be full-time in any force, right? I did like that aspect of the entrepreneurship, even though I tortured myself, which we all do when we don't have that clarity.
You're funny with that pen. You're all clicking.
I sold it all and went dog because sorry about the pen.
You're good, dude. Remember we were going to do the
when I left
pen.
conservation. and it was all in the pharmacy. You're putting in a lot of hours trying to learn and figure things out. I had a staff of 10. I was like, all I had before was just a truck loan. And I joined the RCMP auxiliary, and we started actually a search and rescue group in the province. And I did that to keep with my outdoor skills and my law enforcement, because that was really my passion, and always with dogs. And then I got into it so much, I became the deputy commander. I trained a dog for 6 or so years for search and rescue and civilian. It was never accepted in the province, but we had that dog ready to go. And journey after journey, I got to dabble in the search and rescue. I had a couple of years into law enforcement with policing, and then I switched over during the business to explore some of the learning about Schutzhund and things. I'm more of a hunter. I'm more of the outdoors hunting, fishing guy. And I always loved the bite work and stuff. But then after Crohn's and the bag and the surgery, I'm not into suit stuff anymore. But I did get back in the suit for a little while for fun.
Do you think the Crohn's, and I mean, what was the PTSD, the Crohn's and everything, a culmination of everything?
No, I think I did this to myself. I pushed. I'm a guy that doesn't quit for too long. You're not going to keep me in a bed, right? And I'm a little stubborn, independent, which I learned. I had to, it was back in the hospital, and I had a very traumatic incident where I was stuck and this bag popped off, and it was nasty. And I mean, dude, when you have the open surgery and your bowel pulled through and you got a bag, and then the next day it pops off, I used to have a lot, honestly, I used to pride my core. It sounds like a big ego, but I used to do a lot of kickboxing. We used to kick the crap and have sticks, and the whack in the stomach and take it. And I had a hard core there and big belly, not the six pack. But the kids used to come over and they used to be like, hit dad, and bang, 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 bang. It doesn't take a lot. And then when you get that thing cut open, you're not the same. And when it happens, a little trauma. Then I pushed 4 weeks after, and I got stuck in an airport, and it was the same type of scenario of the hospital room. And I don't know what happened. I literally don't know what happened, but the people, somebody came to me and actually said, hey, sir, like, you got to get off this line and get over there. Are you okay? So that's where it spiked. And I didn't know it was wrong. And you take training, critical incident stress and things like that in academies and that. And when they tell you, and you try things that but it didn't work. It just made it worse. So I had to figure it out. But, it wasn't until I had clarity and knew what to attack. You don't know where to go. So,
well, I think it's also a culmination of it needed a manifest too, because you do get physical symptoms of when you are in overwhelm and flying or whatnot. Like I've seen it, and that sometimes it just takes that kind of knock from the outside world to let you know, hey, look, man, like there's something that's going on that I can see that's obvious that you might need some help.
Some people flip the script right away. They experience those moments and they're like, oh, I'm going to get my act together and clean up and do this. I didn't do it. That did not happen to me right away. What happened to me right away was some sort of trauma. I didn't know what to do. And then you can't sleep. You sleep about 3 hours. So you cope with drugs and alcohol, right? Alcohol was for me. But I knew that wasn't healthy. I mean, my dad died because of that. He overdosed. So that was in the way. And actually, I fought like hell, and I went to Belgium. It got me out of here. And you know what I love?
So that was your catalyst to go and learn NePoPo from Michael and Bart.
Unreal. Changed my life. Bart's honest guy. Michael's true blue. And when I seen them train, I'll never forget the time. Right, I went there. And we start working the dogs after a few days. It was just a blessing. We got to take a walk, meet Bart and Michael at the house. And then Bart will take me for this walk around the moat that's at their property. And for a while, and we'd talk, and he would teach me NePoPo. I felt like the little karate kid, It was just surreal. And then Michael was there, and then training with her. Amazing. And when I started with the clicker work, the dogs were a lot quicker than I was at first. And I was like, okay, not for long.
Yeah, it takes some assimilation. I actually spoke to Michael this morning for probably over an hour. They're very big influences in my life as well. And they're just wonderful people, man. And
Yes.
I owe a debt of gratitude to them and the constant evolution of the system that they provide. And I missed you at the new Silver School at this one because of what's going on currently with your situation. But we had a wonderful time. And
I missed you guys big time. I was stoked to go.
Yeah.
next time I'll be there. My family needed me here. I had to cancel last minute with that stuff, but super stoked. We're coming near the end of things, and you never know what's going to happen. Like I don't look too far past today, man, anymore. Like you live for today. You get plans and you get dreams. Put them on the wall. Put them on the calendar, and keep them in your mind. Block it, book it, so it becomes alive when it's on a schedule. But when you think about it, why I became a coach, why I went through I became a client first. Like all the dog training, I went to school after school after school. My gracious, if you go on my bio there, and people ask why. Because I was blessed to have the resources to actually do it, but that was my life. How do I grow? How do I get better? What am I missing? What's the truth? And the reason is, when I went through all that search and rescue and the law enforcement stuff, I had a resource guarding issue with this chocolate lab that I was training for SAR back in way before 2000, in 2000-ish.
Okay.
And the behaviorist, I went to an animal behavior, I went to my vet. And you think of this, like I came from the conservation. We didn't use, I didn't even know what a pinch collar was back then, way back.
Yeah, very logical. You'd be like, where do I go to fix problems, right?
And I mean, I had gun dog training, and I like, but this was different. Like I never had a dog actually like guard reason, like a chocolate lab over a bone. He was only 6 months old, and I was like, frig, this is dead serious. Like he was hardcore. And I've as a wildlife technician also before conservation, like I studied wolves, not like in studying for months and months, but my biggest passion and study when I was doing before professional training, and that was coyotes and foxes. And we don't have wolves here, but wolves, coyotes, and foxes because of the canine aspect, right? When I graduated, I was going to do this huge study on the eastern coyote, which I did do in a paper on it in school, which our coyotes had wolf mixed with it, right? So big, and I've caught them barehanded. You name it, we could talk.
Coy wolves.
I've caught the coyotes here, big ones, barehanded. We're out hunting and doing that. So I do stuff. But here's the thing: I was told. So I did things, and I did things that I will say that I figured, if this don't work, nothing's going to work. And we're talking, 40, 30 some years of training, and it wasn't positive back then. And certain things, you try it, you're told. There's things I learned in schools, which you'd be surprised back then, which is eliminated a lot now, which is great. And a lot of it was just old stuff, but it didn't work. And I was always open. I say growth-minded, the word open-minded, balance. Growth-minded is the best word I'd say. So I went to my vet, and my vet gave me a pamphlet from an animal behaviorist, a doctor and it said, it's not aggression, and don't treat aggression with aggression, and don't say no, and don't use punishment, and don't use shock collars. It was, I'm like, my whole life, it was explaining, don't be this guy. And I'm like saying nothing. I'm like, And I knew I'm a smart enough guy, and I'm honest and humble enough to say there's something I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Spent my whole life doing this stuff, so I'm obviously going to try this all positive aspect. And I did. And I learned some things, but it didn't teach me the positive. I had to go search that stuff. And I searched, and the positive things were they're not how they are now has evolved, jeepers, with what I've learned. And it was quite interesting. There was things I really liked. And then I realized there's stuff that's just is not working. And in 3 months into this, I got bit. And I was a little bit, like anybody, I was losing hope, losing faith. I'm like, this is too much time under tension. Like I need to see some transformation. I need a quick win. I need some breakthroughs. I need something.
Yeah,
I was losing it. And then another behaviorist I talked to, a different province. I took a school. That's what actually motivated me to go to animal behavior college. I'm like, I got to take a school, another one. But that was like one of the first schools per se to get me on track of what's going on here. Why are these people telling me this? I got this much years experience. And that was all positive for the most part. The science was good. Hey, it was a good school. But it was the training they want you to do after. They didn't want to test you on correction. So I'm like, there's a little bit of extreme. And I wasn't in the pet world, right? I came from policing and gun dogs. We didn't deal with any of that emotional mumbo jumbo stuff. Seriously. And it was very new to me. But I was told, I was frustrated, and I went and I was told that stay with positive training, And if clicker training does not work with the dog, with your resource guarding, that it probably never will, because he's a chocolate lab, he has a red gene, and you should euthanize him. But don't say no, and don't punish, and don't. That was told this to me directly, 100%. And in that moment, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, death before discomfort? And I was like, I'm out. And I researched, and this is a long time ago, there was no social media. I researched who does training, and I went to a different country and a different coast, which was California. And back then, Adam Katz had South Bay Canine Academy. It's a long time ago. Sent one little email to Adam. Hey, I got along. So I tried to take control. Okay, I'm going to fix this myself. Get the long line, get the choke, go to the trail, get a few behaviors under control that I allowed to be out of control, because I was told don't put too much obedience in the dog, because the stakes were high. There was no such thing as a search and rescue dog in the island. And that brought me right into the pet world, because I was told to kill this dog. And then when I switched with one email and one sentence, get rid of the long line and the choke chain, because I tried and it didn't work. And then I was really devastated. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I got doctors telling me to euthanize a knucklehead truck. Just a knucklehead, hard. He was hard. Like he do a Shih too, no problem. He bite work like crazy. He bite.
Yeah.
Long story short, I took the advice of Adam. Pinch collar, 6-foot leash, and in about, I say 7 minutes, but it was probably 2.5. And I did a lot of positive training first, and this is where I didn't realize why the dog was so happy. But now I know. When he hit that pinch, I had no finesse, right? I'm just going to walk, ease up on the correction, like he said, do exactly the thing. That dog went to take off. I did an about turn. He hit that pinch, and he said, hello. And he came into my side, and he was prancing like all drivey and everything. I'm like, I'm looking at the dog. I was nervous. Putting this freaking pinch collar on, because I was told, and then I seen it. And a wildlife guy, I was like, bear trap, that's looking pretty nasty. So if this doesn't kill you or fix you, I guess,
better than kill. I mean,
well,
better
it
than
worked. No, it worked in seconds, and I was
needle.
like, I was blown away. I'm like, what? Why are you? I expected it to work. I really did, but I didn't expect them to be happy. Like not that happy either. And I was like walking with your hands down, you're in that tension and straight, and my mind was like, you're sick, dog. Like, you like this. But I learned a lot, and now I know why he was happy, because he understood exactly what it was I wanted, and he understood pressure, but it was not motivational enough on the slip, on a choke with a big old knucklehead lab, and that pinch and the 6 foot just motivated him enough. Bang, and he went flying into. That was my first experience, and that came from. It took me a long time to understand why I still called him the sick dog for a while.
Well, and it's important to know that the positive is, I mean, just like you were saying, you were learning with the positive, but that causes behavior, but it doesn't address the issue when you're dealing with bad behavior, right? You're not going to correct a dog or stop unwanted behavior using only positive only. I mean, it's just not going to happen, man. I can't think of a situation where we very specifically address a behavior using a positive reinforcement, right? It's something that I've had to learn as well.
Very rare. I mean, you get a certain aspect temperament dog that is, and I mean, actually, there is no one thing. You can't just positive reinforcement. There's always a negative thing there.
Yep.
But what drew me into pet is not just that aspect. When I got the result immediately, I was like, I had my hope. I had restored immediately, right? And I loved that guy in the email who gave me that one sentence. Freaking changed my whole life. And then I went back to share information to those who told me not to do certain things, and I should kill the dog instead. And that wasn't received well. And I went back to educate, because I didn't know you could train dogs for a living. I didn't know. I was going to go with canine stuff, right? That was my mind, sell the pharmacy. And that, you know what? When I realized, when I went to share, all they heard, they didn't care about my dog. They heard tools, and they went all in red zone. And I was inhumane and torturous and everything. And immediately I realized, okay, there's something wrong. I mean, these people already told me about how I am and who, how the methods and things that I use for my whole life are to dogs, but they don't know me and they didn't know I came from that. What I realize is they don't know. They don't do it. They don't use the tool. So if you don't
They're
use it, you don't, and you fear what you don't know.
they're indoctrinated, and any new information, like I was saying, like you have to be able to change, right? But
Yeah.
what people don't realize that it's natural for people to take information, and then we have out here a little invisible barrier called beliefs, right? And first, any new information is taken and held against the beliefs before it's even allowed into the mind. And if that new information goes against any of those beliefs, guess what? Thrown away, right? It's not allowed to be disseminated and critically deconstructed and critical thought
Mhm.
until you get into a situation where you're like, dude, I love this dog. I don't want to kill this dog. I think we have more things to do. And it's very common. I've done hundreds of over 187 or something of these interviews with people. And the commonality that I see of just what you experienced, Duke, of like, look, I have this dog, problem behavior. I went to a behaviorist. I went to a positive reinforcement only trainer. It didn't fix the problem. So I did a little bit more research. I fixed the problem. And then I went back and then I was demonized by these people for fixing a problem that told me I should kill this dog. And I love this dog. I want to live a good life with this dog, and I fixed the problem. There's obviously a gap of understanding in beliefs in this industry, and so they've stepped up to fill that gap by becoming a professional themselves. It's kind of like what you're saying that you did too, right?
Yeah. Us as humans, we look, judge less and feel better. I'm telling you, man. And that we're all like that. When I say anything, we're human beings. We're all the same. It's just our nature. We're selfish by nature, right? It's aspect. But here's
Well,
the thing, right? So when I can say judge less and feel better, I always like to wonder, why in the world would someone in that position tell me this or tell other people? And how many people are they telling? And how many people are actually going out killing dogs? And that bothered me big time. And I said immediately, I'm selling. I went home and I said to my two biggest supporters in life, my mom and my wife, I said, I know what I'm going to do. They were having a conversation out in the kitchen and they're looking at me, what? I'm like, we're selling everything. Everything, pharmacy's gone, everything's gone. I'm going to become a full-time professional dog trainer. I'm not going to let any more dogs get euthanized with stupid advice, with emotional advice that's opinion and emotional. And I want to know the truth. And I know that I don't know. And I've been in this a long time and it's my whole life. So I'm like, wow. And that gave me, so I literally sold everything and 100% in dog. And that's where I went, school to school to school to school. Don't tell me what's wrong and what's right in the sense. I need to figure this out. And I figure it out. And the conversations now, but what I always look to and slide back is a lot of us can disagree, but we're talking the same thing sometimes. And it's that emotion because we have been attacked. I've had death threats because I use e-collars and stuff like that. That's whatever. It just doesn't matter. We allow those. We're humans. And there's a lot of us and a percentage of us, our egos, that will bother us. Changing and growing and fear. Fear holds us back.
yeah.
Judgment, we want to be accepted. We don't want to be shunned, right? But as humans, and that's why, and look, I coach a lot of trainers. They're scared to get on the camera. They're scared to open their mouth. There's clients that they believe in what we do. They believe in this, like they go through the journey, but sometimes there's blocks because they're scared to go and to do what they need to do, where they need to do and go because of judgment on the outside. So I seen all this. I'm like, my whole life has been 100% set up to be one of the best guys to help people in this stuff. Life is aversive. Life is the way it is, but you can go through it successfully over the long term. You got to want it. So I went all in, and I never quit. Like I'm a little bit insane that way. I'm like, geez, Bill. I mean, I'm not 50 yet, but these young trainers, they got to toughen up. I don't know what it's like to work. But actually, I was the guy that was like, work harder, work harder, work harder back then. And now, quite a few years after experiencing my own burnout 3-4 times of like crashing up and sick and disease, like there's work smarter now. So it's quality over quantity. So what I help people, that's the biggest thing. If we can connect with the humans and help us get over our own crap and help us focus on things of clarity. Who do you want to become? Like, how do you want this actual session to go? What are the goals? Like, we don't even think of these things. Some people do. Very successful people do, right? I think success that I've had came from me just having to work 10 times harder because I never had that clarity before, right? So I went all in, right? I had my strengths, great. But where I look to is growth. If I'm going to connect and I'm going to have influence, I need to learn how to be better myself. The people, I need to get my own life in a non-hot mess better. So I became a client of CHPC and Growth Day. I hired
what
a coach. I hired a
CHPC?
coach from one of it's so like Growth Day it's a sort of a high performance coach. So you can get a CHPC coach, like one of Brendan's certified high performance coaches from the academy. And I became a client for a whole season, trying to change, trying to grow. And you know what? I got more out of the coaching there than I did for actual helping me mentally, physically, emotionally, right? Than I did with other things that they were trying to help with PTSD. But it took a insane amount of desire and drive and determination to do it because I'm on the island and I just showing up, doing the work, freaking doing the work, and even trying to think when they ask you the questions, right? So basically, yeah. And then on my third, at the end of the season, they're like, "Do you want to continue?" And I'm like, "Yes, but not as a client. This has changed my life dramatically in a short period of time. I got more done in 2 weeks than I did 6 months and 2 years working on a certain project when I had a coach. It blew my mind. And I had explored coaching in the industry before. I had gone through different coaches that it wasn't that quality. And
Well, I
this
think that
was,
people get the blinders on in dog world, right? And they just go and stay in this industry. Like, and there's a huge world out there, folks. Like, there's a huge world out there that can be applicable to the dog training realm. And not only that, but I like it when I meet project managers. I like it when I meet people that are doing something with a lot of moving parts and whatnot, because that's the problem that we face here in the dog industry, is that we have a lot of moving parts, a lot of people coming together, all with the same common outcome of helping dogs, I would hope,
mhm,
right? And
mhm.
but there's a lot of beliefs, there's a lot of judgment, there's a lot of like, just like Julie says here, it's a religion for the feared ones and don't want to know, right? They've reached a certain point, and and that's where you got to realize, like, once you believe that you've got it all figured out, you're dead in the water, man. You're dead in the
Oh,
water. You're waiting for something to come and either whether it be a dog, burnout, or anything like that. We're always evolving. We're always learning.
I've been in short periods in time. I'm an honest guy. It's one you think you'll get from me. I've been in those scenarios where I just felt not challenged. I didn't think the mindset where I know it all. I never like that. But when you get enough, when you get into it enough and you do it long enough, it just, when it's so bloody easy and the challenge just starts to fade, even though you're doing something, what can happen is, and this is where dog trainers all do, and I stick to the dogs more, but the trainers more so. I love coaching trainers because this is my world, right? But we start to go through the motions of life, going through the motions, doing the busy work, right? Look, ADHD dude here, busy as hell, but you're not productive because you don't have the clarity of what it is you want, and the goals are in your, and there's, and then you got all these things, and we're reactive. And then why I'm not on social media a lot, like I hire, is because I go and I'm on it enough. I on it a little more than I should be, that I'm supposed to be in my schedule. But I look and I read my friends and everything, and I listen and I watch a little bit of stuff, and I just see that I see it. I'm learning, and I just see this. The judgment's there, our egos are there, there's fears there. We're all in it, and I see it, and it excites me because we're all together. There's no one better or worse, and so we should have no fear. We should have more faith that crushes it, because we're individuals. And when I look at the stuff I went through, and when I talk to trainers, and they're a hot mess with certain things. They're balanced trainers are not living a balanced life. Now, I don't think there's such thing as the balanced life, but I think it's important when you have clarity on like your health, you have clarity on your friendships, and you rate this. So what I'll do is we take my clients and we go through assessments, and all these things were built. So I became a coach. I became a CHPC. I invested. I went all in, and that's where nobody's seen me for quite a few years in the dog world, right? It's a different world. You know, I'm the only guy there that wears camouflage too. So, you know, I love it.
I've been to some business coaches as well, and no other dog trainers were there. No other dog people were there. And the business people loved it. They were just like, dude, this is amazing. You do what? Bow Wow Bill. And John Assaraf was one of my mentors for a very long time. And not only that, but he was like, man, people, I talk about you all the time, Bow Wow Bill.
Yep.
And there are things that you can take and derive from these studies. And most of the people that are working in their business, not on their business, right? And that's where they get the burnout. They feel like they're spinning their tires. They feel like they're on an endless treadmill. And you need to take the time to stop, take that 30,000-foot view, and look at the pattern, look where you want to go, look how to get there, look at the network of people that you're in. And just like Duke was saying, it's not just a balanced approach to training, but it's also a balanced approach to your life to make sure that you're fulfilled. It's a balanced approach to your time. And remember, I call time spiritual currency, right? We can make and lose the green stuff all the time. Like, it's easy to make money, it's easy to lose it. But once you've spent that time doing something, there's no way of getting that back. And that's why we have connotations that speak to time as currency, and that's like spend your time wisely, right? Or pay attention, right? It just speaks to the nature of time being a currency. And so it's important to realize that, and to take the time that you have, the limited time that we have, as some people that are over 50 years old or almost 50 years old, you and I, right? Here in 20 years, we're going to be 70. Here in 40 years, we're going to be 90.
I'm 21 for life, man. There's no grave going to hold this body down.
I look at my mirror sometimes. I look in the mirror, I'm like,
I'll bring
who's this guy?
That'll end up a wrong way.
Yeah. But that's it. It's like, and I was talking to Larry Crone the other day too. That freaking guy, he's messaging me.
Bill, you mentioned time. You mentioned time, as that's actually gave me its concept. It is
okay.
People. So when people say to me all the time, even trainers. So this can go to trainers or business with sales or whatever. But when I talk to people, right, sales is just teaching somebody and selling them on their bloody dream and their vision, but they don't know what it is. A lot of trainers say, I want this and I want to do this, and because I interview thoroughly. Like, I spend an hour on the phone with these people, right? I mean, they questionnaires beforehand on this stuff, right? So once I became a coach, I had access to these resources, and it took me 4 years. I'm not slow dog. I'm that dog that you need to pound and pound and pound and pound, rep it and rep it and rep. Once I get it, I'm like, oh, then I'm really good. But here's the thing with time. People will tell me that they want things in their life, but they don't have time. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I used to say that. I was the guy. I don't have time. I don't have time. But it's like, well, let's get clarity. And if you're not clear, right? And let's say social media. This is the biggest thing. You could have a client. How many trainers are listening to this? Or if you're actually a client right now with a dog, and you said, I don't have time to train my dog, but you showed up to your trainer and you said, I want this, and this is why, and I really want this, but you're not doing the homework because you're busy. That is some people, and trainers get frustrated, and how do you get them to do the work? Get them to understand why they want it, right? They say they want things, but are they willing to actually show up and do the hard work? Because when you knock on the door, knock, 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 to opportunity, it's not freebies, it's work that answers the door and says, okay, here's transformation, here's change, but you got to do these things. And now people say, is it, then there's the fear. If I do this, how long will I be under this pressure without payoff, right? You got to have some sort of in time to some sort of payoff. Or they fear just an unknown. Is the grass really going to be greener on the other side if I go through and do this? So there's all these self-doubts and negative things that we have. And as a coach, hey, I see Joni. Hi, Joni. There's a
Hi, Joni.
badass right there, hard-working gal. Man.
Yeah, I love her, man. She's awesome. Love you,
So
Joni.
think of this: when someone says they don't have time, and the average statistic, when you do the math on social media, so I'm not on social media. Why I do the statistic? People, they say the American stats. So 4 hours a day we spend on social media and television. 4 hours a day. Do the math.
What image I think of when I hear that, man.
Yeah. So do the math. Let's do the math, everyone. You don't have time to train the dog. It takes you 5 minutes twice a day. Can I get 5 minutes twice a day for mealtime and relationship dating time to go do stuff with your dog? No problem. And actually, as the trainer, why don't you spend 5 minutes of journaling? How did it feel? What was the struggle? So that you have notes to go back to. And then where are we struggling? No, and we go and we focus on these weaknesses. But people say they don't have time. It's like, well, social media, so 4 hours, and then do that. What's 4 hours, seven days a week over 30 days? You got a week.
900 and 927, yeah.
People are spending more than a week on social media, a month, and they don't have time.
Still the hardest part, journaling. How do you recommend somebody start journaling and keeping themselves accountable?
It's a good one. Yeah. So immediately, right after the call, okay, before you hang up and go, block the time, try and stay on time. Okay. There was a struggle with me. And then delegate that 5 to 10 minutes and have a predestined assessment on so when I coach or as a trainer, I tell them after they leave, you have these questions you just ask yourself and then just do a quick little check, maybe a couple of notes, or maybe it's just a voice. I feel this way. The client was rocking it here. Remember to celebrate them this year. This is what I want to do. So I show up. And when we show up, when we take that time to note something or ask something the week later, the client goes, jeepers, this guy is actually paying attention to what's going on, what I want to happen. And
do you know what I say to my clients, Duke? After I end a session, I'm like, listen, I'm going to be sitting out there for a few minutes. I don't want you to think I'm creepy or anything, but I'm just writing my notes. Right?
I'm watching you.
I'm watching you. Right? And so sometimes I'll be in their driveway or even out here, and they'll be sitting there and they'll be like, are you sure? Because I've had people come up to me and just be like, everything okay? And I'm like, well, oh yeah, I've been here for 10 minutes. Like I forgot to tell you that I'm going to be writing some notes here. I'm going to be taking and writing down my assessment and just kind of keeping things a little straight. And I love the voice, but I also love the chat GTP, the AI stuff. I don't know, Mr. Tech, but there is
believe it or not, I've put my fingers to chat GPT and asked it a few things. And
it's great with that organization stuff, right? And just like making, because then you can make like little footnotes and make it so it's formatted in a way that you can speak into it. But even that, like when I speak into it, then I have to go through and just kind of edit what I'm speaking into, just to make sure that, well, first off, to make sure the spelling's correct, that it didn't do something wonky with the speech to text, but to format it a little bit and then plug it in. And so, just get into that habit of, as soon as I do 3 things when I end a session with a client. 1, I say, is there any questions that you guys have for me before I go? Right. And sometimes they'll ask me a question. I'm like, we're going to cover that in the next session. Or we're like, that's something that's a little bit bigger than this, and I want you to focus on what we just spoke about, right? Focus on this small aspect, because I don't want to have a good night, Joni. Joni's got to go. I don't want to overwhelm you with the information. Like, we've already just covered a bunch. I don't want to start going into another tangent here, and so I'll say, let's save that for next time. So that's one of the things that I'll include in the notes. Remember, before we left here, you asked me this question. Let's get into that. But first thing I ask is, do you have any questions for me? Second thing I say is, do you feel like we're learning? Do you guys feel like we're a little bit further along the path than we were before I got to you? Right? And sometimes I do that the opposite. Like I'll ask, do you guys feel like we're learning? Everybody doing good? Everybody understanding what I'm laying down here? And then I'll ask, is there any more questions? Fantastic. Work on what I've told you to work on. And before I'll say, and when I leave here, you're going to notice that I'll be out here sitting and I'll be making notes. So just don't get freaked out or anything if you walk out and I'm still there like 10 minutes from now. And then once I'm done and feel good, then I put the finishing touches on it, and then that helps me energetically in my brain to kind of file things away as well, so I don't leave these files open. And you think that you multitask and you think that you're good at that, but it's been proven that once you try to start multitask, you're not going to be giving it your all to the subject at hand, because you still have that energetic residue in your brain kind of chewing away when you need to file this stuff away. So it takes time, and it takes to develop that habit, right? But once you start to get ritualistic kind of about it, then it helps so much more.
Yeah.
And then it feels good, man. It feels good.
You said the word right there. Remember you said, how do you get to take notes? Like, how do you get more discipline or whatever to take notes?
Yeah.
You got to create habits.
Yes.
And this is the thing as a coach. So I do a very similar thing, right? I'll ask people when we instruct, whatever it is, how do you feel right now?
Yes, me too.
And maybe I'll recap a little bit. How are you feeling right now? Good, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest. And then they tell me. And if it's kind of like 8, I'm like, what can we do to make you feel 9? Why an 8? That's actually pretty good. We'll celebrate whatever it is. And then what is your homework? What are you going to do? I ask them, because when I ask them, they got to think. And you know what? This is just my opinion, okay? And I've experienced this because I've been around long enough and I'm not on the social media. I'm not. I do have a phone and all that stuff, but I don't even know how to use this stuff half the time. But I see that, with the way society, with world, how it is, the stuff that we have been through in this past several years. It's kind of like the emotional heartbeat kind of went for a while, and then all of a sudden we started getting into self-care. And I think now a little bit now that the world is moving forward. Jeepers, if I'm out getting off PEI, then shit must be going good. It's time to, and the problem is though, I think now too much of the self-care and less of the quality of excellence of how I show up. That's what I see now. Is it's not and I'm not talking like, do you know what I mean? There's a certain amount of excellence. Maybe it's just me, but I see everything is accepted less now. And it's hard for me to maintain sometimes to that aspect, right?
Yeah. And I think it's also, as we change, like things kind of teeter back and forth, right? And then you're like, okay, cool, I need to push this a little bit further. And we even see it in the society now. And this is kind of abstract, but I'm talking about like the cops and like policing and whatnot here in Seattle, Washington. We see all this graffiti, and it's kind of like there was this huge movement of like defund the police, and it's kind of taken the society over to one side, and they're like, oh crap, now we need to push it back, and it might go back before we really figure it out. Oh my goodness, I just got confirmation.
Time is another one, Bill. So on the
Time.
time factor, when clients say they don't have time to train, also, here's what I will tell you that I feel is we overteach as a trainer.
Yes.
That has that passion, and I'm a big offender of that. In my day, any of my trainers, ask anybody who's ever trained me with a lesson before. I've gone the marathon, take home, board and train in my day. Beat 8 hours, baby. But you're exhausted mentally, physically. And you know what? I love this. Was where I learned from. I think it was Rick Warren that said, like it's a preacher's worst nightmare, because after 1 hour, everybody goes home. They're only going to retain like 10%. And then within 72 hours or something like that, it's like 5. And I'm like, no wonder people go to church all their life and they just don't get it.
Well,
no wonder I go home after a good session or certain people are like, oh yeah, what was it about? And I'm like, don't know.
So you ask what their homework.
The reality of that one thing though, I'm like, it makes sense. And why should I spend 3 hours of my energy and passion to someone who's already wanting to absorb it, where I could just chunk it up and keep it simple, less, and then quality.
That's what they're paying us for, man. They're paying us to keep it simple. They're paying us to fix the problem as a professional.
But then they need to know they got to do the work when they're going to show up with me. Like, that's the thing. I'll do everything I will in my power to help them, and they got to help themselves. The other thing, they think that it's too much time. A lot of trainers like it's just work. Time is day. You got the same amount of time every day. What do we do with it, right?
Do you see what I put up here? I heard.
No.
Oh, you need your glasses on there, old man.
Well, I got 2
I heard.
pages and everything. I
I
don't
heard.
look anymore.
Gina, do you remember Gina from?
Hi, Gina.
Yeah,
I'll
Gina.
call you later.
The
When I'm back
the
home.
the coolie. She says that I heard somewhere instead of saying I don't have time, say it's not a priority. Just see how that feels.
I wonder who said that. It's true. It's 100% true.
Yeah,
it's not priority. Like if you come to me and say I want this, and then I'm teaching you, but you come back and you didn't do the homework, and then trainers get stressed out. Well, then they keep telling you what to do. They used to call and say, "What do I tell them to do?" I'm like, ask them questions. Or I would ask trainers questions. And I've had trainers like in society today, I've had them say, just don't ask me questions, just tell me what I need to do. And I'm like, okay, that was my main problem.
Well, another thing too is that
asking questions helps. If you want to be an influencer, you got to help people think differently. That's basically all it is. When you help them think a little different, you're influencing. So how do you do it? Ask questions. So we teach and then ask questions. And if you keep it to a thing, but here's the thing, right? Especially a guy like me, we can go all over, right? You have a schedule. The biggest thing, I'm going to show you guys a little accent. So as a coach, I used to teach people. So this is for more the business, anybody who's it. You really should, and I've said this for years, and I'm going to just say like I was a hypocrite for a while. I'll tell you what, I had back in 98, when my dad died and I had the pharmacy, I moved all of our stuff into a cottage, which is in the winter, and then it burned down within a couple of months. We lost everything we owned, Shelly and I, and that was a story and a half. I did end up being really, I never did have an office or a place of my own. Now, meaning an outdoor guy, no problem with dogs and that stuff. I never really cared. I'm not the cosmetic guy. I purposely keep my hair the same. I purposely wear the same bloody clothes, colors all the time. It's just less choices, less fatigue, right? It's really what it is. And you can pick out who's judgmental, and then you can have a conversation with those people and they get to know and they're less judgmental afterwards. I love that. Anyway.
You know what I do too, Duke, is that I have them sometimes on the second time that I meet with them, I'm like, I want you guys to take the teacher role and teach me what I just taught you the first session. Right. And so I'm sitting there, pretend like I don't know anything. Mm-hmm. And then I can see what they leave out. I can see what they put the emphasis on. And just so you guys know, like I have my little iPad right down here and I have my phone here and I'm just getting these messages. I bought a puppy for a client, and just to tell you how, and I got a dog down here messing with my curtain, just to let you guys know how deep this dog world goes. I bought this puppy. Do you know how much I spent for a puppy? No training, no nothing, man. I think I told you, but
not me.
Yeah, guess how much I just spent for this puppy.
What do you got?
It's an English lab. I told you.
Oh yeah, I'll let you sell.
So this puppy, but we just got notice that the puppy is coming, or the puppy just got selected, right? And so I'm waiting for this picture of this puppy, and it's going to be, Julie says $3K. No, I spent $17,500 for this puppy, you guys.
Trained by Duke Ferguson, and it's only
no, it's not even trained at all. Like this is no training. It's a puppy. It's just a puppy coming, and I'll be doing the integration process where I travel to the place, and these puppies go up to $20,000 plus, right? Just for the puppy, okay? And that's where like people don't realize the potential that's out there. People don't realize that they get stuck in this little realm of experience that they have. And they don't realize, like I trained a client's dog last year for $55,000, one dog, right? Yeah. And so people don't realize that it's obtainable. Some people chase around and are working their whole year and making as much money for all the dogs that I've made for one dog.
Takes a
Right.
little time too, and that's valid, and that's the truth, right? But I remember the old me, and I remember striving, and I remember my first board and train was $700, and I remember dancing all the way home, thinking, "I got paid, I got paid." And I'm gonna look at that now. So like there is a part that you got to get in the pit and work hard in the beginning. Say yes to a few things that you shouldn't say yes to, and
Oh,
experience. You got to
I
experience it. There is no, to me, if you don't have some sort of struggle you're going through, you'll never have success. Without it, there's no breakthrough. So you got to have a challenge. You got to have a struggle, and that's just life in general. And that's one of the things that I loved about uh, CHPC in coaching. It's life, right? But there's a scientific based curriculum out of tons and tons and tons of high performers in the world. We're talking like big dogs in the world, like Oprah and them fellas.
yeah.
And the
Well,
same curriculum. I became a CHPC. I teach from the same, or I coach from the same curriculum that Brendan coaches, except it's a little bit different ballgame. But what I look to is we got to have clarity. You got to have clarity on, like, to me, I want to give you something here. When we assess, people are this hot mess, this balance thing, and we're reactive. We're talking about dogs and COVID dogs and reactivity. Is it going up? And it has, for sure, a social aspect and those things, but it has in the humans as too, right? So
yeah.
as people, and here's one little simple thing, how you're being trained to become reactive. Dog trainers, you're being trained. You're training yourself to be reactive and tired and judgmental. You want to know how it is? Swipe, swipe, heart, comment, swipe, swipe, swipe. Decision, decision, decision. First thing in the morning, if you wake up and you turn your phone on, oh my gosh, your potential just dropped 30% that day per se. You don't own that morning. It's proven. The little worksheets we do took me 4 years to get mine together as a coach. And when I coach and I'm coaching people that are doing the hard work and getting the breakthroughs, I'm learning and I'm growing and being inspired. Joni was on here a while ago. She's a cool dude, man.
She's
Love it.
awesome.
A lot of people who go through that, they inspire me. I was sharing with you, Bill, when I went to Fredericton. I went over to see my location over there. Isabel was there to the Santa Claus. So there's a Christmas parade, and I went over there, and it was like really cool. But when I showed up, she had the banner and a whole bunch of little groups of our clients with their dogs. And as I was there, I never met them. They knew who I was because I'm on the videos and stuff. They were sharing with me their stories. Now, I did know one dog, and that dog, I was like, whoa, I can't believe the dog's here. But the transformation in these dogs, and they're in a parade, whereas if you would have seen them 3 months ago, not a chance, right? Like they're reactive and blah, blah, blah. And the owners owned it. Like they knew it because they were the ones that went through the transformation. Like I work a lot with the people. The dogs are easy. You hear it all the time. So less judgment. You want to be less judgmental, right? When you wake up, instead of the swipe and the look, and now start with gratitude. Start with gratitude. Leave the phone. Don't even touch your phone if you don't have to until like 11 o'clock. No messages, none of that stuff. No checking emails. Own your morning. So 3 things. There's things I'll tell you. Teach what time? A little more. So for clarity, right, Bill?
Mm-hmm.
What I start, and I ask when trainers start, and they want to be better trainers, right? So what do trainers think? I want to teach me how to train dogs. I can be a better dog trainer. Okay. Well, the NePoPo, what I love about that is it's same as life, right? And a lot of people, I think, it starts with the pressure, NePoPo. You hear it like, oh, I'm not into starting with negative. But you got to understand, I think it's interpretation of where are we focusing on? And when we have a conversation of, when you want something, right? When you say, I want XYZ, why? Because there's obviously something lacking in your life because you want something more, right?
Absolutely.
So there's a discomfort or an uneasiness because maybe you're just not being congruent to your values of who you are. So for example, you get dogs that are put in houses that shouldn't be pets. And then they go to pet trainers. And why is our industry known as flattened and stuff? Because we're taking dogs with all these genetic drives that the owners are never going to drive that car. So that's back in the day. It's always what it is. So genetics is a part to play there, but relationships. the owner has to know what they want. So clarity, right? So I try to get to people early. Like before you get a dog, like what are your goals? Like what's your lifestyle like? Let's talk about you. Because you might bring something in that looks cute and it eats you 2 years later. I've had phone calls. There's a lady who she's no longer with us. 2 years later after a phone call of trying to say you should muzzle your dog in this aspect, get killed.
Well, and people don't.
Words, Bill. Sorry. I do these things. If you could write this down, this is what I love. I help people with. There's three little blocks. If you want to write this down, one for yourself. How are you going to? That's when I pick some words for who do you want to become? Like, how do you want to show up in life, and who do you want to become? Now, I have words, and I'll share with you the words. I usually tell my clients, pick 3 words that inspires you to who you want to become for you. And you might not be that way yet, right now. So for me, I want to be more loving person, right? And that's just for self, right? How I want to be. I want to be more courageous and show up. And I've done a lot of courageous things with, but that's something you have to bring every day. It's not something you just are, right? I want to be resilient, right? And I want to be congruent to my values, because when I spend too much time in an office or on a computer or on a phone, I start getting out of my mind. If I'm not doing things, or actually sometimes if you seek too much comforts for a certain amount of time, or if you're not productive in certain things that you want, goals that you might not even be thinking about, but your subconscious knows, you become miserable and uneasy. And it's just because we're not congruent. Right? We're all a bunch of hypocrites in a sense. So those are words that I put to govern who I want to be for me. Now there's ones I want for interactions. Okay. As a guy with ADHD, and I'm very good at I could talk wherever, but I'm better now when I listen intentionally. So I want my interactions with people over my lifetime of people telling me, I want to be more present. There's times in my life where people are talking to me and I'm like, gone, I want to be more present and hold that space a lot more for people. And ever since I started to do that more, wow, I'm connecting more. It's amazing. I want to have more patience, right? And I want to be more joyful and influential. And that's how my interactions, that's how I want to be known, as interacting with people, right? And then success is the third one, what I look to and help for clarity. And we go way deeper, but I have words that I look to. What makes success to me? What do I want to become, or how do I want? And number one, focus. Without focus, right? And if you think of it, when dogs are spiraling out of control, when the humans are like, when stuff's going south, where's your focus? If you really think about it, that's when you can actually control that focus and refocus or shift your focus. Now you can get out of it and you can move forward and you can, strive past. So when you look at the CHPC, when you look at NePoPo, I think it all starts with this. You got to want something. And if you really want something, that means you're already in a struggle. And that means there's a discomfort.
And that means there's a barrier of achievement.
And when I talk to people, look, as a coach, it's so nice. It is. And in sport dogs, I've learned so much from the sport dog world and brought into pet world. Because back in the day, 20-some, even just 20 years ago, I didn't care what your dog looked like. I cared what he acted like, right? Safety and sanity. Because I have seen dogs killed. I've seen stuff, When people know the real world, they live in the real decisions. And now there's less emotion. So I like to coach people how to show up. What do you want in life? And how do you want the lesson to actually go? It's kind of like us when we get into meetings. What's the intention? Let's set the intention. Me as a guy that ADHD, sometimes I don't. I'll just take a dog. I want to feel good. And I want to feed that dog and play with the dog. We go out, bam, it's the best.
Just be in the moment with the dog.
Orgasmic brain moment in a non-creepy way. That's my life. To me, that, all the years, that's just gotten me. You know what it's like. Anybody who's watching this, you connect when you're in one with that dog in a non-creepy way. It's euphoric.
Yeah.
To
Well,
me,
it's
it's just
in the
such a
moment.
joy and a present. And when I see trainers that are connected, when I see that, it's just, and the dogs are into it. They're the ones that are putting out trying, not the owners and stuff. That impresses me because the dog's in a state of I want and I'm willing to try. Because most of us say we want, we're not willing to try half the time. We don't, and we try and then we quit. About 75% when everything's hard, then we stop. That's where coaching really is powerful. But dogs are the same. They can try, they can lose a little list and they quit.
And sometimes they have bad days, you know, and
Exactly.
same thing I do with my premium clients, man. I was like, look, what experience are you looking for with this dog?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's where, like, when I start to talk about the experiences that I've had with dogs that are kind of a crapshoot, right, out of a rescue or anything, and I let them know, hey, look, man, the average cost of a dog, even if you were just to go to get it for free out of the shelter or whatever, through the life of this dog is going to be about $13,500. That's average. That's not really splurging on them, or which I know my clients will absolutely do.
I know
Right.
people that feed, that just buy stupid things for their dogs. They spend that much in a year with
Right.
just
And
stuff.
so whenever, you know, and just for full transparency too, here I put up a link to Smoky Mountain Labrador.com. That's where I bought this dog from. And I'll share it with you guys here, just because I'm love being transparent here, right? And so these guys here is they take, and Gene is a gentleman that runs it. He's a good friend of mine now. We've gotten pretty close, and what they do, man, is that they treat this almost like a thoroughbred racing or a thoroughbred breeder, right? Where they actually save the sperm of these champion dogs from the champion Westminster shows, right? And this guy Moose is been in heaven for a very long time. This guy has netted this kennel over $4 million, just based because of how the lines that he comes from, right? And so when I'm talking to my clients and telling them, you know, about the lineage, the health checks, everything that these guys do, then it makes sense to pay a premium for these dogs. And then I look at my client's age, and most of them are 65 to 80 years of age. And so this is going to be their last dog, or close to the last dog at the caboose, the tail end of their life. And they want that dream experience with these dogs.
Sure.
Right. And so that's the other aspect of this, man. It's like, look, this is what I'm providing for you, is a true experience that is going to be like a dream come true, essentially, right?
Experience.
And not only that, but that is something that I am being paid good money for. And then when we start to look at the cases of these dogs that aren't bulletproof, then they're going to be spending a lot of times more money than they would have spent with me, with training, with acquiring this dog. And it's like a push button experience for these people. And so when you start to, that's what I mean by taking a 30,000 foot view here, folks. So like, look at the life of this dog, look at the experience that these people are having, and then start to extrapolate what they would pay to have this dream. And it's a deal, man, when these people are working with me.
And you know, they're not going to be for everyone. You know, when we look at that aspect, you know, some people are like, because you know, like you talk to a lot of people, are like $30,000 for a dog. Oh my God, I can get one at the shelter for, and it's the mentality, right? And that's, I'm like, yeah, okay, well, you know, we're not a fit, but my experience is, and the way I am that is as a higher end is because
What's up, Jackie?
when you don't have much skin in the game, right, or low, cheap. Number one is a lot of newer trainers will do that because we don't really know what are we worth. That question's been on. What do I charge? Oh my God, charge what you're worth. I've heard that millions of times. It took me years to figure that out. But that's just it's senseless to think about it because it's like when I look back many years ago, you know, 100 years ago, I remember my first board and train was $700. Now I won't look at a dog for less than 10,000 a month. Nothing, zip,
Yep.
right? Period. And like you say, it's a period of time. And if somebody's like, oh my God, we're just not the fit. There's a million other trainers out there that can do stuff. But when you mentioned the word experience, I got a little bit, because my brand, Unleash Potential Experience, that's my the whole new core foundation of my program. I called it dog training Genesis and all that stuff before, but Unleash Potential is a pretty wide. Everybody else uses my name. I might as well use it myself, right? So people are going to unleash potential dogs. Now, mind you, people, it's trademarked, and I've seen a few stuff kicking around.
You're hilarious.
Stuff. I hate messaging you and being that guy, but if it's not me, it's going to be my lawyer. So, but the experience is this, right? I mean, if you look at it, it took me a long time. I want the experience as a different dimension. I want my clients to have the transformational experience. Who are they going to become for that dog? Well, who do they want to become for that? Who do they want the dog to become? And now, mind you, realistically, sometimes they can't have a match there. Like if they want certain unrealistic things from that dog, right? They get a lab and they want to do bite work, but he's cold. Yeah, good luck. It's not going to happen. You cannot do it. And it's the experience of my trainers or me when I set something up, right? So I'm sure that kennel has set up their life experience and charge what they freaking want to charge, what they're worth, so that they can actually, fuel their vehicle. And they must have a mission. I bet you there's a lot more to them than you would realize, right? When somebody is a high quality and a price like that, because usually there's a lot more. And me, I look for, you cannot train all the people in the world. You get burned out. And it only takes one or two people in life to change your whole life. And now you look at quality instead of quantity, right? I did the quantity forever, tens of thousands of dogs worldwide. I get excited. You know what excites me? Is when they try hard, when there's that fire in their eyes. And that's one thing I friggin' love about NePoPo. It's not about, it's to me, I look at it, it's like free choice, free will. And there's a communication clarity. There's a relationship bond that enhances like crazy. And when you want something as an owner or as the dog, you're a little bit stronger and you bring the courage to go after what you want. Because if you don't really want it bad enough, you stay on the sidelines and suffer until it's bad enough. And that pressure does push you forward. That's life, folks. You know, it is. But the cool thing is when you can actually get the vision, get the goals, get the dreams, and go for it, it's such a more joyful progression through life. That's what I love about NePoPo, because they're trying to get the dogs to get this stuff. The thing is, you got to start somewhere to want something, and it always comes from discomfort, right?
Yeah. Well, and they say that the discomfort has to reach the greater amount that the change that you wish to seek, right? Is that. And then I got Adam Katz, who's messaging me right now. I just told him.
Hey, Adam, I was talking about you, buddy.
Here, I'll send him a link to this bad boy, or somebody send a live stream to Adam. And when you say experience too, man, like go and look at how much money people are paying for a cruise, right? Or something that is a life experience, right? And then compare it to how much you're charging for dog training. Like for 2 weeks, people will pay sometimes thousands and thousands of dollars for that experience, and they don't really have anything to show for it. But now we have something that is actually going to be a decade decision, I call it. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. And it's he's working out right now. Adam's working out, so he's not watching. I thought he was. But and that's where it's like, look at the experience that people, the amount of money that people will fork out for that experience, right? But the thing is too, is that you have to have the ability to provide what they're looking for, right? And that's where you are investing your time and energy into becoming that expert that reflects the premium amount that they're paying for this experience. And that by itself, folks, is a whole other podcast, right? Because you are not just a dog trainer now. You are a dog trainer. You're a referee. you're a dog psychologist, you're a human psychologist, you're a marriage counselor, right? And there's so many other things that you are, right?
We
But
give them assessments. It's true. And that's why I became a CHBC coach, because I didn't know how to deal with all the people's problems. I got enough of my own. And honestly, yeah, great reputation and great results and productive. But sometimes when you're known as if you can't get anything done, go see that guy and he's the one that'll fix it. I hate that. In a sense, I want to be the first one that blows your mind and changes your life right away. And now they see that difference. And now when they come from others, it's hard to, when we go somewhere and we have an unpleasant experience and we really need help, you go somewhere else and it's not so good, or it's a little better. Like whether it's people going to dog trainers or you're going to different services in your life, there's always different qualities and there's different personalities and that type of thing, right? And when people have really bad experiences and they're still seeking help, you got to celebrate the crap out of that, because it's their money. And they really want that to happen, and they don't really know how. So those dog trainers is like, we got to show up at our best self. Because if we're showing up at a hot mess in our own lives, you're only limited to you can't be your best for your clients or your dogs. So when I look at experience, right? When I wake up, like, how am I going to experience the day? Have you guys even think about that? How do you want to feel today before you even go through reacting to the day? Intentionally thinking about how I want to feel. And a few things this meeting and this call, how do I want it to go? Even if it doesn't go that way, it's good to dream. People start dreaming again, because life, I told you in the beginning, it kicks your butt. I talk to trainers. They stop dreaming. I stopped dreaming for a while because life is hard. It ain't fair. It's actually quite freaking miserable by times,
I did too, man.
And traumatic. The thing is, it's life. Yeah. And get a helmet. We could say that to somebody. I love that. But it's like, I don't. Get your helmet, but here's a hand, because I've been there. I'll help you along. And then I need that to help me along, right? So we need each other. So that's where I was like, Judge, let us get rid of the friggin' egos and agree to disagree sometimes. If you don't understand, just do what you're passionate about doing, because everybody has something to give, right? I mean,
we got to talk. We got to talk a little God too, man, because you and I are big godly men. And that's one of the things that when you say yourself, interactions and success, one of the things that I describe myself as godly. Like I strive to be a godly man. And one of the things that this reminds me of is a Bible passage, Luke 6:37, right? Is about judging. And and it says, do not judge. I'm posted up in the comments, you guys. Do not judge and you will be judged. Do not condemn. And that's the other aspect of this. When we're working with our clients, quit shaming them. Do not condemn them for the situation that they're in. We don't know the silent battles that they might be doing, or they have a bunch of kids, and I'm just like, man, this house is chaotic. I am never going to condemn anybody for not doing the work. They're still showing up. I'm still there, right? So do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. And this is the other aspect too. And this is where we kind of turn the page, folks. Forgive and you will be forgiven, right? And forgive others as we forgive those who have trespassed against us, right? It's something that we have to realize. And even in the Lord's Prayer, we talk about our Father, and our Father means that it's not just my Father, it's our Father together. That means that we're brothers and sisters here in this experience. And to remember that and be purposeful and be godly is one of my goals. And don't judge, don't condemn, and be so quick to forgive.
I love it.
Right, buddy? Did I get you? Did I get you silent?
It's there. I usually, my experience is when you mentioned godly, people put up a wall because there's some shit in their life, some human, some person who is a believer, some faithful person who's a human being, just a normal person, just like me, just like you, and just like the person they hurt. And yeah, because you're a believer and you have faith doesn't mean that you're a perfect person. It just, you have now some faith and some hope in the Savior. You know, like it's that aspect. I find I look to being I'm just a nobody trying to tell everybody something, you know, but a guy that I know who saved my life. That's kind of the way I look at it. I just found that aspect when I bring the wording up, the walls, the judgments, and things, and that's really hard sometimes to have the conversations that flow. Especially I just share with me how I am. But when you mentioned the word forgiveness, it's kind of funny because that's a big one. That's probably why I'm still here, and that's probably why.
Well, the people too that have given you maybe the reason why you put up walls when you hear godly, forgive
They're
them
hurt.
too.
I see it.
Forgive.
They've been hurt. Look, I've had the great conversation. Somebody said, you know, I'll be more of a believer or more into the faith when I see others showing the love that they're supposed to. And I understand it, but the perspective's just a little different. And I see pain and hurt. We're human beings. We're never gonna be that good, you know. It's just, you know, and it is what it is. If it's your creator and you're in life. Now people do ask questions. Well, if there was a God, why would he do this and that in the world? I'm like, hey, he gives you free will, free choice. If you want it taken away, fix everything. Now we have no problems, but now we're going to live boring, miserable. There's no struggles, and you'll never have success, right? We are who we are. We ain't him. We're not God. We never will be. So, and if we were, we would have our crap together already. Right? I haven't met anybody. You know. So
we celebrate in the religion that I belong to. I'm a Catholic, right? And we've talked about this as well. And we celebrate saints. And when we look at the lives of saints, a lot of them have had miserable lives, and they've been martyred or they've been put to death in a horrible fashion. And I like to think of this world as kind of like a saint making machine. Right? Sometimes we go through these experiences so that we may
or hellions.
or yeah. Right. But that's when people ask me about the suffering in this world, whether it be something that we've chosen, a path that we've chosen, or something that has come across our path, maybe out of our control, that's where I kind of take it. And that's where also I'm very thankful for people in my church that I can speak with and talk to. And one of the things that one of the priests that I was talking with, he was like, look, man, we're always looking for the good to be thankful for. But do we ever thank God for the bad? And that's the other aspect of this too, is like, look, man, our house just burnt down, but at least we got the coffee maker or something. Like, we're always looking for that little grain of sand instead of looking for the bad to make us the person that we are today. And so in a way, we have to be thankful for the bad as well as the good.
100%. We look at that's what makes you success, right? When I look back now, in the moments, when all the moments, you know, when I was shot at, when my house burned down, when my father overdosed, when I was in a car accident, when I got Crohn's, when my wife got cancer, when my dog died, la 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 la. Life. Are you happy in the moments? No. And sometimes you're not going to tell someone you should be thankful. No, not right now. Let a little time pass, and you let them breathe, let them process, let this natural stuff go. But be there, hold space, and then just be there. It's hard to sometimes. Forgiveness is the biggest thing, though. Why I'm still alive, honestly, and why I'm probably have kids and a family, because my life was not a pleasant. My mom and my stepdad were phenomenal. I'm full of love and things like that. There's no question. But I went through a lot of stuff, and I can understand when anybody, I don't care who you are, if you go through and you're hurting enough, hurting people hurt people. That's just the way it is. And hurting means maybe you just didn't get enough sleep last night and you're a little sharp today.
Yeah.
Okay. Hurting means you're just not congruent to your values. Hurting means maybe your finances are down, or hurting means your relationships are struggling, or hurting means, you know, we just don't focus. And I love assessments, but hurting people hurt people. So when I try to be more on those values of who I want to become, if I want to become more loving and more present, and I want to become more patient or resilient, then I have to say, well, what are the things? Those are my goals. Those are the things I want to go after, right? What are all the little exercises that I need to focus on to build myself up to become that? That's the transformation. And then when it comes to faith and forgiveness, there was a point in my life and time when I was in my 20s when went from conservation, and my dad had passed away. He overdosed, and then all of a sudden there's a 21-year-old that has $750,000 of debt, and you got to run a pharmacy. You're the youngest pharmacy owner in Canada, the oldest independent pharmacy in Canada, and I wasn't even a pharmacist. And then your house burns down, and a lot of stuff happens. So there's stress, right? And then you have lawyers, and then you have people when they think there's money. When there's people smell money, that's like a great white shark. Sharks in the blood. Humans, when it comes to money, all family. I've seen so much stuff, and it just breaks my heart. It just breaks my heart, crushes. It just makes me angry sometimes too. But, it's like distraction. When you have a goal, when you're going for it, there's always stuff in life going to try and take you away from it. And you want to talk about the faith, the spirit, the good, the bad. I mean, I think there's a dark force that really tries to take you away. It keeps us busy, occupied, reactive, doing this stuff. You're not doing needle life movers. You're just doing busy, reactive stuff. And everybody's busy. Now we don't spend time as much together. Now we're not as productive in the things that our experiences of life created us, of who we're going to be and who we can actually influence. Right? I fight for this every day, and I see this stuff come. But when we look at it, we're all going through different things in life, and you're shaped, and the stories that you have are the ones that are going to impact the people. Like, Bill, you can impact so many people that I could repulse, but then I impact people
that I repulse,
and vice versa. We're all unique. And then when we look to that, just focus on who are we here for? Don't focus on anybody else. When you go through these things and these struggles in life, I was influenced by an outside source. I'll never forget. I was going through more pain, and you had no idea, with lawyers and real estate agents, like a lot of people. And I'm a very loving guy, but boy. And
you've reached a point.
Everybody can reach that breaking point, and I was pretty close. And I had a guy walk in, and he said, "Hey, for $10,000, I know someone who could take care of all your problems." And I was like, "What? Get out of my face!" I wanted to I wanted to help people in the world. I wanted to go into policing, to give back and help and stop the things and the stuff that I used to have to go through, right? So that was my thought. But you know what? When he leaves, that seed was planted. And when you have these nightmares and you're angry, all of a sudden stuff starts going, and you start searching for help. Anyway, I was a miserable boy and a lot of trauma, and I had a lot of hate, a lot of anger, but it was against nature. And I've seen dogs like that come out of homes. They're frustrated, they're amped up, and they're on Medicaid, whatever it is. And you get them out of the environment, you change, you give them what they need, they change, fulfill what they're at. I was miserable, and I was going to hurt people, Bill. I really was. It was ashamed to say, but it's the truth. A long time ago, there was the list, and I was scared, and I had nightmares and dreams over that. And I didn't believe that God did love me at all, or he would never let me go through all that crap in life. But guess what? My selfish desires brought me into a certain position where I met someone, and that one person connected. And that's the relationship that goes from there. They asked me questions. They cared for me as a friend, genuine, and no judgment and no preachy stuff. Right? Changed my life, and I opened up because they shared their life and their pain and their struggles and successes and breakthroughs with me. And I knew that's connection. That person's going to be able to help. I trust somebody. Then I was able to talk. When you're able to talk, in the first book, they said, now this was months and months and months, but I was genuine. I want to not feel this way. This is miserable. This is horrible. This is toxic. I don't want to hurt people. I got into this. I want to help more people than you can shake a stick at, like dogs and people. But in order to get to dogs, we got to help the people. Because life is what it is. And that's why I do what I do. But that guy changed my life because he taught me how, or helped me learn how to forgive. And I learned how to pray for my enemies.
Well, I mean, you got to forgive not just other people, but you forgive yourself too.
But when you can actually walk into a room and genuinely from your heart and your faith and and say something to someone who is still not good to you, and genuinely, authentically tell them that you love you forgive them, and that no matter what, you pray for them, and mean it, and mean it, not bullcrap, but mean it from your heart for the first time ever. Wham! That's what changed me. But then I learned forgiveness is every day, man. You know, like just because you become a believer and you go all in and you get like that, just that doesn't. It just I think you get attacked more, to be honest with you, because there's still some people out there. It's like, oh, you want me to love that person? It's so much easier to joke.
Well, and there's,
you know,
we call
I'm a normal person, a sinner, I guess, every day, right?
Right, and we're always tempted by Satan or the devil or whatever you call it. The devil means in Hebrew divider, right? And so that's it. It's just constantly always working on dividing us from ourselves and from others and from God. And it's always working as long as we're alive on this earth. This is the realm that he lives, and this is the job that he has. And so it's a constant thing, man, but we have the choice, and that's where that free will comes into, is do we choose to curse God, or do we choose to love him no matter what happens in our life?
When we mention the free will, and we always talk this, and I always relate to life, and go back to dog stuff. We talk about tools for a second, right? I call the e-collar the little Holy Spirit. The
little Holy Spirit.
Sense, because if you think, I used to say,
well, we call hand from God too when we do an aversive, right? We want the dog to think that it's a hand.
Yeah, people God. Say that, but you know what? if it's like life is going to bring it. Life's going to give it to you. So, what choices do you got? Where's your options? Okay. When I look at the life that we live in this world, it's a beautiful place, man. You look out, like, I'm grateful for the beauty and the nature and stuff.
Amen.
But we're pretty toxic. Us, we're stinky. We're stinky asses, and we all got one. Every one of us got one, so don't say you're not. And it might not be as stinky because you might have had a bath today, but tomorrow, a few little toots, you're stinky again. So if you're not getting enough sleep, you know what I mean? So when I look at it, we're all stinky butts, then I'm no better or worse than anyone else. It's how, like some days I'm much cleaner, right? It's how do I want to be? What kind of a butt do I want to be? Right? Because if I put myself in that position, it's easy to not come thinking I'm better than everybody else. And when I can focus on being less reactive, that was a tough. A lot of hurts, a lot of pains. People say something that they might not mean, and all of a sudden, blah, blah, blah. I learned from the lessons, and I'm learning a lot, especially in the last few years. As you grow, I think it's a little bit more maturity. But I love the e-collar when we talk about free will, free choice, because when you think you're in control in this life, right? God or no God, when you think you're in control, you feel pretty good, right?
Yeah.
You got it going on, like your groove's there. You got the good, you look good, you're feeling good, but that's temporary stuff because you're really not in control. You're just having a good day, and there's a storm coming, so prep.
When you're dead in the water. Remember what I was saying. When
you're in that storm, and I've been in the storm a lot, and I didn't have someone to look to. That's like a dog that's running around that's got no one to look to. And they can't do it on their own, and they're trying. Well, you try to do things on your own. I try to do things on my own. And how many times I've tried and tried and tried, and I'm exhausted, and I want to just bawl sometimes, right? I'm a human being. But I think it's a learning thing, because it's just like, give it up. And then you spend time, and guess what happens? Your head goes from down to up. The dog's head goes from down to looking up. My logo, this is a dog's head looking up. It's a lab. This is my first gun dog in the world when I was little. And this is the ear. The U is the U for the ear is unleashed, and the P for the dog is potential. So that's a U and a P for unleashed potential. Look up. But my goal is to be God's little dog. Go fetch me someone else.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to get aggressive over that. If they say, no, I'm not interested in fetch, I say, okay, no problem. The eagles will take care of you. When I send my dog out to the duck to harvest me some ducks, I shoot some ducks, or if I don't miss, and he goes to get them. Sometimes they put a little struggle, say, no, I'm not coming with you. Well, he's JC, you got to come back. This is a little different ballgame, right? Not duck hunting. But how many times, if maybe in the faithful guy, I've been told to do something a couple years ago, and I didn't do it yet, but I'm working on that stuff, right? And the more that I see now that I let other things become priority, I'm in a struggle way longer than I ever needed to be, because I'm partially obedient. And you know what? To me, partial obedience is not obedient, period. I need to learn that. Duke, you got to become a little bit more obedient. The two hardest things, well, the one hardest thing is, love God and love your neighbor. Loving your neighbor is not easy, man. That's the challenge, I think, and why we are how we are, is so that we can learn to love each other. If we don't kill each other, right? That's servant mindset. So how it makes me move forward is having a servant mindset for my clients, because I'm very selfish human being, and sometimes not even consciously aware. Better growing 1% every day is the goal, or every month. At least it's there, right? So that's a lot of work. But when we're working and living a lifestyle, and we think, okay, free will, free choice, I have someone in my corner to look to give it up to, and to look. When my wife in April was diagnosed with cancer, I'm a pretty faithful guy. I went out with 2 sticks, and my God, he heard it from me. He can handle that. Years ago, I would never do that before I was a believer. I would just keep it all in, and I would be hurting more and miserable more and just want to go break some. Now it's gone. It's released. So now I have this tool, and I have my creator. I have a relationship with my daddy, because I don't have a daddy anymore, right? My earthly guys, I have a stepdad who's amazing. The best thing in the earth ever happened. But the reality is we're all temporary here for a little bit of time, right? So what are we going to do with the time that we're here on planet Earth? And some of us don't know. Like, I talk to people as a coach, they don't know what they want to do. My kids don't even know what they want. I'm blessed. At 12 years old, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. At 3, I was doing it. But now when you don't know, there's tools. When we're all distraught, people are kind of pressured that you should be doing some aspect. Focus on your health if you don't know what to do. And if that's good, how's your finances? Focus on that. Or how's that? Good. How's your relationships? Focus on that. Friends or family or lovers? Well, I'm alone. I like being alone. Great. How's your relationship with yourself? But forgiveness is something that I learned. So before I actually became a believer, before I looked up, before I was like, I'm all in, I want this feeling in my life. This is good. Dogs taught me how to forgive.
Dogs are very forgiving.
Dogs, because the only other forgiveness in that aspect is what I've seen in my whole life as a kid bringing up with dogs. Because I don't know, I'm a truthful, honest guy. I've been around a long time. I have not always been the sweetest to dogs. I've not always given the proper correction or you know what I mean? In the day when you're learning and you're growing up, life is the way it is. Let's all be honest. If we all were really, 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 really honest and humble, man, oh man, life would be great in this industry. There's things I've done back in the day you're told to do, you don't know what to do. There's schools that told me to do stuff that I'm ashamed in a sense. Well, there's no shame now, but I was, and I'm okay with it now, because I'm not going to do those things. I've learned, and now I can help other people. That's growing. Yeah. So I'm never going to stop. I seen a thing a long time ago on the Facebook stuff about, a lot of conversation. Friends of mine, master trainer, that was one. I was like, okay, I'm not going to say a word about that shit. Mastery is a process. People ask me, what is it? I'm a humble guy. I'm not this big ego. So it's like, it's a process. It's a process. Mastery is a process. Life is a process. You got it. You just in it. You're in it. You're mastering certain things, but you're never there. You're never accomplished. Not true mastery. And you've mastered certain things, so you're a master of that. You master that. That's the term. Back in the day, I think it was like 6-week certificate. And then people would judge you. Oh, that little. I've gotten all that stuff, man.
Derek says, and I want to speak with this really quick. He says, I'm 90% hugs, 10% hate, right? Well, to me, like pretend like the hugs is, pretend like you got a glass of milk, and you got 90% of that milk it fills that glass, and 10% poison. Would you still drink that milk? You got to work on being 100% love my dog.
That's tough though, and that's good for you, Kraus. It's be honest, man, because it didn't.
And that's my brother, the Derek is, but that's it. That's what we strive for, man.
Kraus reminds me of me. I told you this time. I never actually got to talk to him, spend a lot of time with him yet. I was wanting to this time.
You're like, who's that guy?
I seen him one night, and I sat back quiet. I'm like, God, that guy reminds me of me a long time ago. Very passionate, very go. I'm like, shit. There's Duke, the old Duke.
We were just talking about time earlier.
Maybe not quite as sharp, like the.
We don't have enough minutes in life to master anything. That's what he says. We'll see.
No, but you know what? There's a guy right there pointing right at you. I'm pointing at you, Derek. He's in the game to do hard stuff. I don't know him very well, but when I see little things and I see people doing hard stuff, I know they're coming from somewhere. And I don't even need to know the whole thing. I know there's something there that I want. I know there's something there that we're going to share because that person's doing the same thing as I'm doing.
You can never be 100%. That's why Jesus
died for us. You do hard things to overcome your mental stress, your physical stress, your spiritual stress. What are hard things? Things that you find hard. Sharing faith maybe sometimes, or just get your butt up and go to a gym. I have a YouTube video. It's there on my journey. There's the first time I ever tried to be vulnerable. I posted myself in my underwear, the pants on right now, with on a beach in Mexico when I was 300 pounds. After Crohn's. I remember when I flew to Belgium. That's what I love about Bart. Very honest, and it wasn't mean or vindictive, but I knew it. And he's like, what did he say? Bart, he watching this. He was either 60 or 80. I'm going to say 60, but I think he said you're like 80 pounds overweight. I was like, holy crap.
That's my belly.
Very honest, and I was cool, just you just don't quit. So fear will hold too many people back. It was terrifying for me to go do so many things. When you're actually, but especially when you really, 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 really want something, and that there's certain aspects. There's some big things that you might have to break through to go and do hard things. And you may not go forward for a while. And if you're at it alone, analysis paralysis, you may never go forward for years. And you could miss your opportunity, your call. That happens to people. I don't want that to happen to me. My mentor tells me, I love the concept, and this is coming from Brendan, is his live, love, matter is what he says. And I steal it from him because it relates to me and connects, and his story is powerful. But when he was faced, he's watched a lot of people, in their deathbeds and stuff. And he was in a bad car accident, and he was, on his way out there. And he said, did I even love? And did I live? And did I matter? And those words and the answers at the end of your life, those answers to him, that's what switched it around. Some people are on their deathbeds and they don't like the answers, but nobody's looking for work. Nobody's looking for trophies. Nobody's looking for, I'm the best dog trainer. None of that stuff. You know what they're asking for? People in their life. It's family, friends. And I watch us in this industry just be stinky humans. Good people. Unintentionally. I see it unintentionally. I'm the same way. I could have offended some people already. It's unintentionally. Hopefully I'm less stinky. And me, I look back, and that's where I learn and grow. So me, the dogs, for the last few years, I've been growing my own personal development. Because as a trainer who wants to get better, I'm like, gosh, the dogs, that's not my challenge. I'm my challenge. We can have So we dig in, and do the hard work. And
Well,
I've done that for quite a few years on the island, and that's why I'm excited, Bill, to say, like, I'm starting to do seminars again. I love those. I just love to go
we're
and
gonna
share.
do one. We're gonna do one for my Patreon people. So you guys, if you're
Yeah.
not, if you don't
So
belong to my Patreon, we're gonna
so
do
the
a breath work, right? We're gonna do. And what
the
do
breath
people
work
need? They
stuff.
need headphones, right? Headphones for this, and then
Yeah.
um,
So I'll explain. A lot of people. So I'm as a trainer, and this is actually quite interesting because the people in my world, like hunting and fishing dudes, they're like, "Are you turning yogi on us or what?" No, I actually don't think I've ever been to a yoga class in my whole life. Like I would. I stretch a lot. I do martial arts and things with the Belinta walk sticks and things. But um, what is the first thing? I want you to think of this. Way back, well, I became a 90 breath tech facilitator, and I'm actually, if this keeps the way I like this, I'm going to go to a master program. I
and this
do. I
originated from the
originally
women.
did it for me, right? But I want you to think about, like, for me, for taking anxiety, or for even getting energized when you're feeling like, I mean, you just don't feel like getting up, or you don't feel like going to that meeting. You're just like, oh my god, if I could just get it. I need coffee. I need a Starbucks. I need a hit, whatever the heck. You just jack up, right? You can do that with your oxygen in a couple minutes. Thank God I learned that. It was amazing. And then I don't have to use stimulants. I used to years and years and years ago. And I'm a guy, people know me. They're like, you use stimulants. Like, you don't need that stuff. Back when I was, how many years ago? A long time. Say 10 years ago. 15 years ago, say. I started taking a supplementation that at GNC type, gives you jacked up, and I didn't want to crash, and you go through those things. And anyway, I screwed up the electronics in my heart after about several months.
Yeah.
And I was like an old man. And now, you know why I was taking it? Not to go work out at 2 and 3 o'clock, because I was working 100 hours a week.
Yeah.
And I had to be on for my clients because I was teaching the 2-hour lessons. Like, that's ridiculous. And I near died. Right? So I've learned. Anybody wants a good coach? I can connect from all the stupid stuff and all the stuff and mistakes I've made in my life.
You can mess up your heartbeat by taking just too much baking soda.
Yeah.
For a long enough period of time, you get a little murmur or whatever.
And you
We
can
are
do it by being in front of a computer day in, day out, day in, day out, working those weeks. And then all of a sudden you're anxious. You feel this pain. Why? Because, I got to go do that. That means you're not congruent to your values. Yeah? You got to go and do something new. We're not meant to do the monkey wheel all the time. Right? So breath work, when we look at dogs, right? Anxiety, period. I don't care what animal. When you are all hyped up or whatever, what do people say?
breathe.
Oh, they'll say, whoa, calm down. That's a bad idea. Yeah. Reset. Let's take a pause. That's what I tell. Let's pause.
Take some deep
Pause
breaths.
and breathe. But I've done that in my mind. So, like sometimes you can be disconnected and in a state where you're a little too far and you need that actual help. Right? As a guy of faith, and when I was diagnosed, it's bothered me, not in the moments, but when I would go into airport and actually go into a PTSD trigger, and you're trying to take control of everything on yourself, I was disconnected. I wasn't there. It was a disconnect. And now I learn everything. The first thing, I'm connected. Everything works better. But what is the first thing we need to say? Everybody says, breathe, right? Breathe.
Yeah.
Well, what if you knew many different ways and had different tactics and strategies for your body to breathe in different ways, and now you use it to your advantage? So when you're tired, you can jack yourself up and be energized in 2 minutes, kind of like you snorted cocaine. I've never done cocaine, but this is what they say, right? Or if you're in trauma and pain and you have blocks from the past, right? And you want to go on a journey and release a lot, you can go into there's all kinds of different types of breath types things, right? Been around for thousands of years. So when I look at dogs, when they're all reactive or anxious, I'm redirecting their focus. And usually it's through motion. So it's motion and redirecting focus in that moment. So what does it do? It's getting the neuroscience. Basically, when you're going forward, you go for a drive or you go for a walk, those things are moving by. And I think it's that okay, I'm going to kill the educational here, but basically there's something to do where things are moving and you're this back and forth helps that aspect. But also as you're moving, you're breathing. So when I go out and I'm all pent up at the end of the day, I'll go out and do some stretching before and then womp the sticks, right? And that used to get my breath and I would let everything out. But when you can actually sit down and do breath work and you know what to do, that gives you more tools in your tool belt to calm yourself or jack yourself up or to release, right? So I love it. I'm a green little new guy. For a few years I've been hardcore at it. But like anything that's awesome, if it's NePoPo and it changes my life, or it's CHPC and it changes my life, or if there's something that I'm doing that's like, bam, this is, then I'm like, I'm all in, right? So the 9D is the breath work that I've got together with, because all they do is somatic breath work. If I can get an article here, maybe explain it to you right quick. And does your Patreon gang want an actual session?
Yeah,
Right.
we definitely do. I'll
So
speak for them since I'm the gang leader on Patreon. If you guys want to join the Patreon, it's in the comments or it's in the comments, a link to the Patreon, and we'll do a private session we'll do a Zoom where Duke will be talking us through it. And then and he'll explain exactly what we need, but he'll be speaking us through a session.
So I'll facilitate one, and I'll show you what it is. Basically, a man named Brian Kelly. He is the kind of the guy that does what I have right now, and it's kind of rooted in the belief of unresolved trauma, and dysregulated nervous system are I'm going to read something here, the heart of many struggles. Okay, so breath work is really good for this, right? And so the crux of the method lies in the departure from conventional treatments that have dominated healthcare for decades. It is an actual treatment. It's deemed as a low-risk treatment. So instead of using pharmaceuticals and psychotherapy and all those things, where sometimes there's a place for it. I mean, I did run a pharmacy for a while, but way overused and abused. The 9D stuff, basically, it's somatic breath work. But what's unique with it is it combines a whole lot of things. 9D means like 9 dimensions. Okay, so what you have is you have your breath work, right? And then the combination of sounds, and then there's guided visualization coaching. And the sounds, you get like binary beat sounds, you have music, and then there's tones to there's different journeys, there's different 9D journeys and experiences that you can go on, that it's all different. So they're geared towards doing different things. Some is just to calm your nervous system and to help give you tools to instantly be able to calm your nervous system and that stuff. Or there's ones to help you release trauma or blocks or pains. They have one coming out next month, I believe, for kids, breath work for kids, youth. And they're actually working on one right now for trauma, PTSD patients. The first one I ever experienced was called Transcending Fear. And I put my headset on. It was a free demonstration. It was a whole hour. I had never done this type of before. I had never had the guided experience or training or anything. And me being me, hardcore, I'm going in, I'm releasing some stuff, like get out of the way, right? So I start the breathing, unknowing, like I'm not going to be able to sustain this type of, I started off like the freight train. And it was quite an interesting experience. I got off gas, CO2 much, so my hands were like kind of a little bit. And it kind of didn't freak me out because I just trusted the process and I trusted my body and I just trusted that, like, what's the worst case scenario? Just slow down, and I did, and it was fine. So you have all these different dimensions. So the 9D, it's a very cool sound. It's very stereo-ish. Like if you ever go to in Florida, we go on vacation, maybe we go to the Harry Potter, what's the place? The Universal Studios.
Mm-hmm.
And you ever go into some of those experience rides where it's like the sound is there and it's like it's right there. That's kind of almost what this like. If you use it right, you put your headset on, or I can do it in Zoom, and I can actually do it in person where I have a headset. I have 12 of them where people come in, they all lay down, and they all go through the journey together, lying down with pillows, blankets, the headset, and eye covers. And I'm trained there to be there for them and hold the space for them, because when they go through that journey, there's a lot of emotion release, there's a lot of pain release, there's a lot of stress, and a lot of so much let go, and the outcomes are pretty cool. So I've gone through it, experienced it, and once I had that, I'm like, I'm all in, like this. Because we do in CHPC, we do breath work, but not like this, not like that. Like we do core proven facts. For like, if I'm just about to go into a session, right, and I'm feeling sluggish, I'll jack up, no problem, and just be fully there. Or if I'm like wound for sound too much, fight or flight in my nervous system. When I came back from NePoPo in the Silver School last year, and I had the issues with the flights home, I showed you the picture. Yeah, that set me back. I was like on fire, going down and going out. I'm like, geez, I got this PTSD butt kicked, you know. So that it'll never go away. So why not have tools to help us go through this life successfully over the long term, right? So that's what CHPC is. It's succeeding beyond the standard norms consistently over long term while maintaining positive well-being. And we do that. So in my sessions, I incorporate a whole lot of things. Not just dog training. So I have a workshop in Boston, obviously on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. I'm going to have to leave soon to finish packing. I'll leave tomorrow morning, but I'm going to be touching base with trained dogs. I'm going to go through NePoPo, and then to connect with the people, I'm going to help them seek clarity in different areas by asking specific questions and digging in. Then we'll touch deeper on energy, whatever that, like people are like, what's that mean? Pretty complex, up, down, in the human, the dog, and then what do we do, or what are the goals we want to do to burn it off or to get it up, or, so we look at the dynamic, and that's a pretty holistic approach. You got food and sleep patterns and life patterns in that aspect. Very cool tools for productivity, how you can get 30% more done when you're dog training, or how you can get, and NePoPo really helps with this, but it connects, because if you look at dogs are going to put out and try harder on their own. When they do, the world is much more productive because you're not having to try as hard and they're on board with it more, right? So no hot water and you're not going to cook nothing. Then I'll teach people what influence is and how they can influence themselves and in a good way, and dogs. And so those are key points. And then courage, how you can show up and be more courageous in life, because we all need that, right? There's times I've been called the fearless leader and the courageous guy, and I've done lots of stuff, lots of crazy stuff too. But there's times where I back down, where I wasn't so courageous in the moment either. We all do. There's times where I'm a little bit disappointed. I should have done this more. I should have spoke up here. And right?
There's times where you're overwhelmed. Do you want to see the picture that you sent me?
But yeah.
Do you want to see it?
Silver. Now that was not me at Silver. I was way cooler looking than that.
No, this is when you went into an episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I fell on my hands and knees when they shut the door of the airplane thing and were calling my name. They let me on. And I sat in first class, like soaking sweaty on the plane. And this rich, nice guy, all dressed up, me with camouflage pants on there. I'm soaked. It's just dripping off me, like people would think I'm dying. And I had to sit beside this guy, and I felt bad for him.
So somatic means body, right? Somatic.
Yes,
response,
it does. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And there's techniques. So think of this one thing. A lot of us breathe through our mouths in the nighttime, which we should shut your mouth more. I've been told that a lot of times. But we are shallow breathers, and that's that fight or flight, right? So if you can, so basically, I mean, simple things to calm. If you can do belly breathing, deep belly breathing, right, and slow it down. And I find a couple of techniques for me is when you're in. Now, the techniques, I look at this too. I have a bigger set of lungs, so sometimes when they're coaching me through a 4-second intake,
478, right?
4-7-8. But sometimes I might be me, and I know another guy. What they'll do is they'll measure the intake. So for veterans, and my body's like 6, and then 2, and then more. It's
Okay.
just on our lungs, so it's kind of geared custom. But the whole thing is this: let your outtake be longer than the in, and let it slow and deep. If you want to really, and in your belly. Don't do it in your chest. Okay, belly breathing.
I remember when you were showing me how to do that on the video that we were doing. Duke and I would always chat, and how you were showing me through the chest or in the belly and then blowing it out. That was pretty cool, man. When we do the Zoom, I want to do that. Derek was saying that even at his decoy camp, his friend instructor Denise took they did Wim Hof, right? And this all originates from Wim Hof. And this is how, just like I was saying, folks, with the business studies, but also there's a lot of this stuff that we can apply to the dog world, right? And just like Derek Krause is doing it at his decoy camp, I mean, we can do it even with my anxious clients that have had experiences with their dogs being reactive, getting them to calm down, right? There's some breathing techniques that we can teach and do in the moment with our clients before we start the session, during the session. And there's also an M wave. An M wave is from the Heart Math Institute, and it's a kind of a feedback mechanism that you can use on your walk that shows you. A lot of times we call this in the zone type of thing, right?
So it's a device.
Yeah. I'll put up a link here. Have you ever seen the M wave?
With when Krause may mention Wim Hof, kind of that aspect. 2 things that I don't do, that we don't do, all right, that I personally, when I look at the whole scenario, and I do crazy things in my life, like I wouldn't do breath, like intense holds. So when you bear down and squeeze in certain breath okay, I don't do the squeeze holds much, and I don't do it in water. And the reason is you can pass out, and, doing a hold, like a squeeze, big time. And if you do it in the water, you drown. And actually, unfortunately, Wim Hof has had a few students now die because he's starting to do that stuff, so I don't. So he's in a little hot water there. So be careful of that. Anything else, I think it's awesome that I've experienced from it.
Check it out, you guys. This is what an M wave is. And it's, I put up a link to this at the Heart Math Institute. And I've actually, Bruce Cryer is a good friend of mine. He's one of the founders of Heart Math. And this is something that, as you can tell, she has it on her earlobe here. And it measures HRV and coherence. So when you're feeling stressed or feeling grateful, you have a totally different coherence pattern. And then you learn how to, it's just a feedback mechanism where you can learn how to get your heart rate into a good coherence. And it's this is fantastic, you guys. So check this out. Let me see how much this is. It was like $100. Shop now. Let's see if this will take me to the.
I'll share you in a second what breath.
Shop now. Yeah, $174 right now. But you also and you can use this during the breath work, and then a lifetime subscription to a Heart Math app. Otherwise, you can pay for that as well. But this is where I've actually used this, and this has gotten way more advanced than the one that I used. We can use this in the dog training world, you guys. We can use this to help our clients, to provide them an interface where they can see, hey, look, I am out of coherence here, right? I am out. And this is a way that we can breathe and get back into and actually see physical evidence that it's working, right? And Gina says, hold and squeeze is the only way I know, and it does work for me when my heart goes on a run without me.
Mm-hmm. It does. Just be super. If you're on like you're on a decent journey. Like if you spend, like if you're going to do the 2-part system, and you're going to go into a bigger journey, right, and get jacked up. So you're doing belly and chest and release. So it's
Can you do your other camera and hold it to the side there? Can you
If
switch
you
it?
were to do that,
Do you remember how
right?
to do that, Duke?
What's that?
Do you remember how to switch your camera so you can do your phone to the side and show us that?
Oh dear. So
Here, watch this. Here, I'll do do this.
so
Oh, there you go. Now do it.
so
Yeah.
if you were to do the somatic and you were to do it over and over, right, and like a freight train stuff, um, when you get a bunch of oxygen, so it can be either a flow or it can be a two-part where it's just belly chest, or so you can do that flow or the two-part,
Yeah.
and you do that over and over. The Wim Hof stuff, really, if you were to look at that, the same thing. Say you do 40 repetitions and then you hold. That's awesome. It's actually quite euphoric in a sense. It's really, but let's say you're into it and and you really squeeze hard, like in those moments, squeezing too hard. That's where squeezing's good, but the squeeze too hard, you can kind of boom, go out of it. Like that does happen. And
Right.
obviously common sense, but common sense isn't common practice. So I'll tell you, don't do it standing up, don't do it driving, and don't do it in the water, right? So that way, if you say you fainted, say you went overboard with it, that's why guided sessions are great. Now it is safe. It makes it sound like not safe, but there was a study. I don't have the study in front of me. It was like 11,000 psychiatric patients did holotropic breathing, which is pretty serious stuff. That's like what, 4 hour journeys and stuff, right? I've never done like hardcore. If you're gonna have an issue, you'll probably it would be your highest. And none of them had issues. And in some of these journeys, when we're holding and the coaching is there and the music is there, and we will release with a yell or a sigh, like ah! Like I've done that. Oh my gracious, man! It is just all the pain, all the torture, and you can rewire. So when you're doing breath work after, I don't know, say 5 minutes or so, it shuts down the prefrontal cortex up here, the monkey mind, right? So and with the sounds and with the coaching and with subliminal messaging, positive subliminal, you're very receptive, right? Hypnotic to change. And you can go right in your subconscious really and kind of release things and pick things out, and you're in full control and you're safe and you go as hard and deep as you want and you back off if you don't. There has been times where, with training, they tell us, watch out for these things that scares you, like it looks like an exorcism. I'm a guy like that. So when people have more trauma and more blocks and more stuff from their past, it's coming out. I am yeah, I'm a mess when I go through my journeys. It's like, woo, it's release. But you know what? You're like $1 million for a few days. It's awesome.
Here, I found the study for you, buddy. I got it up on the.
Is that the one, the 11,000? Yeah.
Yeah, 11,000 people, as you can see, 11,000 psychiatric
Yeah.
inpatient in a community hospital setting. And
Now, what you don't want to do, there is contraindications. Like if you have people with schizophrenic, right, or if they have seizures, which when you're doing breath work, that can happen. Obviously, with seizures, you just need to know what to do with people like that. It's just not, more people die in car accidents and get injured with things in life than with a study like this, which shows, but you got to talk about it, right? So if you were pregnant though, and you were in, say, the end of your first trimester, you don't want to do breath work like that. But see, the thing is, if I'm going to put someone through a journey, I'll adapt. So keep your mouth, just do some nose breathing. So there's adjustments that we can do for different people. People that have just had heart problems, that they had heart surgery or whatever, as long as they're cleared by doctors and stuff, and we just they modify because it's self-regulated, it's self-guided, right?
mm-hmm.
All it is taking guided breath work, meditation, and putting coaching behind it, music behind it, 90, like all the elements behind it to make it. What they say is this. Now, I've never done ayahuasca. It's like trying to explain an ayahuasca journey to someone who's never done mushrooms before. That's what the term is. All I can tell you is experience it with no expectations and go into for yourself. And usually the ones that I'm going to do at my workshop is more to down regulation. But
that's a big article.
anybody's in all over, there are a lot more facilitators of 9D all over the world. That is a big growing group. They're kind of on a mission like Bart and Michael are with NePoPo. They want to share this medicine with everybody in the world. And I'm like, man. So I think it's a pretty exciting time for me in a sense where I'm like able to share this stuff, which I haven't been able to do for quite a few years at my workshop. Always dog training as always, but getting more deeper into thought and intentional strategies with the people on their own life and what they want from the dog. So coaching, and then holding some space, teaching them some things in the breath work, and then giving some journeys afterwards too. So I'll do that for you, Bill.
It's wild. Yeah, we'll do a session on Zoom, you guys. So
yeah, what I'll do is I'm actually going to offer it. I'm offering it to my group, right? So I have a membership in UPX, right? So that's kind of the core of my whole company right now. When I reset several years ago, and instead of, remember Dog Training Genesis, where people buy the course or whatever, and that kind of launched the school. So we've evolved all that stuff. So the core is where the UPX is a membership where people can join. They get the course, all the courses in a sense, open to them instead of just buying one now. So there's thousands of dollars worth instead of paying it for a course for $500, but it's all of the value. And for $49 a month, or which would be what per month, or if they buy per year, it's less, so $400, less than a cup of coffee a day. And I'm not noted to be some cheap dude, right? So so that's, to me, that is the foundation where I can reach anybody who wants to train and be coached in Unleash Potential and have the experience. So they come, they have the course curriculum, and every 2 weeks I go live in our community and I teach new concepts and I coach and I train dogs and we'll talk whatever it is. And I have challenges and games that I set up in the community that are designed specifically to help people and their dogs engage and do something different that they don't normally think about, but it's designed to help them with their relationship, with confidence in different areas, right? So for example, one's called Kick the Bucket Challenge. People are like, what? You just haul the bucket and throw some food in the bucket. Will the dog stick his head in and eat it or not? Like something so simple. And a lot of dogs won't do it. And now we see, there's a weakness. We can build that strength. And then there's advanced things. So I have things, all that in there in the community. And that's how people can access me and get help from me all around the world. The next level, because I do have locations, I have 2 locations, in one in Prince Edward Island here in Stratford and one in Fredericton right now. And we are slowly expanding in the spring, probably to another couple of provinces to keep it small. And the next level would be if somebody's like, oh, I can access an Unleash Potential trainer. Yep. So they get you inside UPX, the community. They still get me, but they get a trainer as well. So now they can study the videos, they get coaching from me, they're in doing that, and they get one-on-one training, private training.
Where do they go for that?
To one of my trainers. This is in the pet world, right?
But they would go to sign up for unleashpotential.ca?
Unleashpotential.ca or DukeFerguson.com. And it's kind of funny, Bill. I was telling you we're building the pages for this right now. And I think probably because before the live, Shelly got home from the hospital. So she's out there building some pages. I have to go. She's like, don't tell Bill that. I was like, oh, we got to send it somewhere. We're in development, eh? Like there's a lot. I want to show you my office right quick, because this is something I mentioned earlier in the live. I got squirreled over to something else, but I've always told people, and I've always believed in it's in the coaching aspect, is set up your environment that inspires you.
I put you on solo so you can show around without me.
So if you're in an environment that inspires you, in the back, I told you when I got burned out, I didn't have an office, I had no space, and we had the kids, and we homeschooled the kids, and even in my training facility, there's no office. There's an office for the office person, but my place was the training room. And then when you have trainers, and then you kind of get busy doing other stuff, it changes. So since 1998, I never had my own place or office that inspired me to work. Now I'm an outdoors guy, and I got some people like, what? I created the whole Dog Training Genesis programs in my bedroom on a kid's school desk. I mean, honestly, and the papers on the bed. Like I never had anything, right? And like I said, the journey there, I nearly died during that process. So This is exciting for me because now, years and years later, I finally get my own office and I set it up. This was my son's room. But if you, I can only tell you because I did it and not, coached to do it. You actually do it. You're congruent.
Mhm.
The feeling is actually, I can feel it. So it has more meaning when I tell somebody now to do this. So when you create your own workspace that helps you, create it and set it up, even if it's in a closet, start something that matters, that's inspirational to you, so you can actually be productive and enjoy your process, even if it's work or something you're like, I don't want to do this. Sometimes that's the way it is. If you want to grow, you got to do the hard things. But how do you do it with joy? So what I do is I set up my office for a guy, ADHD dude. That is my office. So my work desk is in a closet, and I have a huge whiteboard from one end of the closet wall to the other. And on there, I've got the productivity one-page productivity planner that we have in high performance that I get. And what I do is I pull my project, 3 of them, and there'll be 1, 2, and 3. So you can see one's my story, one's UPX, and one's the workshops. And once they're done, I love scratching those little things off the wall and then pull another project up. That's what I've been working on. But that keeps me focused. And when I look up, my words that I was telling you about are up at the very top. And that keeps me checked in of how I want to be, who I want to become. Like, it's us, dog trainers are always on the dog, reinforcement, reinforcement, reinforcement. And eventually we shape good habits and they turn into pretty cool dogs, Well, who's shaping you every day?
Well, we talk about NePoPo with the aquarium too, and now you have aquarium where you can focus on the tasks that needed to be done, right?
Yeah.
So this is
And every day though,
you
we
built
got to have that
your
coach.
aquarium.
So this helps me coach and keep on track. But then I built and we painted the room. See, I like green. But interesting, I had this vision one night. This still didn't make me feel like I wanted to do anything. This is an indoor thing. I'm an outdoor guy, right? So put the calendar on the wall. I'm just planning our seminars for the year now. I went and got what do you call that stuff? Just
the
scrap
wood,
wood that was in a mill, all
yep.
for free. I pressure washed it there on the weekend. I cut down a couple of trees we had. Now that hawk has been mounted and sitting on this old piece of wood since 2004. It's never had a home. Now he's sitting on there. I used to climb up trees and band eaglets and stuff as a wildlife tech up into their nests. This was a red-tailed hawk. This is a red. He hit a cottage window next to us when we had the woods. And then over here is the little owl right there. Ooh, ooh, that guy right there. That's my little sawwit. He saw what? Saw what? Who saw what?
Who?
Yeah, him. So that, to me, this is the look, that's my inspiring office for me.
Yep, got the
Dog
chameleons,
kennel
got
on one
your
side.
files, everything there, charging up, collars.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's my. So I do work, and when I'm like, oh, I don't want to look at this anymore, I turn around and I look at this, and here's my experience from actually doing it. I feel so much better. My productivity has gone through the roof, and my energy's gone through the roof.
I want to go to what Gina says here real quick, and then we can jam out of here because I got to actually run to an appointment here, but pretty soon. We've been talking for 2.5 hours, brother.
I knew. Yeah. I told you I could do all day.
Yeah, we can. We talk all the time anyway.
We'll chat again, though. I do have to jump too.
Yeah, it seems like every time a camera starts rolling, I start talking at the camera, over explaining, or B, the dog has other plans that day. And again, I find myself over explaining and switching gears. And then it's so confusing when I watch back, I just delete it. I've had a hell of a time making educational videos for my clients. Do you have any tips for Gina?
Yes. Yes, totally. And have I ever been doing that? In my free video series, you can see on the site everybody signed. That's been there for years, right? Where I got the 3 dogs and stuff. There's a part, I think it's on the 3rd video, where my dogs are in the facility. It made it look like they beat me to the facility, and I'm outside and I walk in and I'm like, oh, you guys are here. And I think it's only like 20, it's less than a minute long. It's the intro, and then it actually has the video. That took me 2 hours to do over and over and over and over and over and over, because I overthought it and I started getting frustrated, and I'll never forget that. And as long as I lived. But yeah, there's some tips. The first thing you want to do is, if it's not in the moment, just sit down and take 10 breaths to calm yourself down on the belly breaths. And then just even 3 or 4 breaths, you'll feel it. And now you can think. And I want you to keep it simple and in point form. Don't go on and on. And then when you shoot your video, if you're like me, it'll start and you'll go on and on. Then just stop it and do it again. Don't get frustrated. And just keep it very, what are the 3 things they need, or 5 things that they need? But 3 points. What are just the 3 points that they need? Okay. And then make sure that they do that. Because sometimes we give them way too much. It's overwhelming. We do it 10,000 times, but it's their first time. The other thing I'll tell everybody when you're doing video is just give yourself patience and grace. And don't think of yourself when you're doing it. That'll kill it. You want to think of why are you doing it, who are you doing it for, and focus on them and talk to them without going overboard. This is coming from a guy who could talk forever and hasn't said a word too much online for years. Okay. This is the first live in a long time. Go look it up anywhere. You ain't going to find me. And I share a lot. How's that, Bill? Oh, look at that. Dude, look at the dog jumping into that e-collar with his tail wagging. Look at these dogs. The guy's in 3 in heel, and all the dogs are coming when called. See that 4-wheeler? I put 10,000 kilometers on that running dogs. 10,000 kilometers. Dogs.
What's a kilometer? I'm just kidding.
Miles, 10,000 miles. Maybe more.
Yeah, no, probably about 7,000 miles.
That's the ice in front of my house this year. That's my training field in the winter. All those dogs, except for, well, yeah, Matrix is still alive. Look at the lab too.
Is this the lake in front of your house, dude?
Yeah, yeah. I play out
that
there.
It turns into an ice.
Field.
Dang, that's crazy, dude. I didn't realize that. I guess
the bank is my place.
I guess you're in the Great White Northern.
Bill. So look, I've been here like the last few years. I've been here long enough to have this massive aha, and I've always brought people here, and they've always told me how much it's changed their lives, and I just always was like, yeah. You know, and I'll tell you what, we don't need it, but if you really want to feel the day again, take those small wins and actually take a moment and be like, honor it, take it in for yourself. Say, you know what, I'm going to actually take what they just said and be like, thankful, grateful, and I'm going to believe it, acknowledge it, because we pass it off, and people are saying great things. Now, don't go too hard, too on saying, yeah, okay, I'm the shit. Right? Because somebody's going to dump that one pretty soon on you. Like, so, because we're human. But I really love that. And when I took that, the island is you're not getting me out of here this summer. People are like, why do you do a seminar in the summer? Oh my God, I got to leave PEI in the summer. Are you kidding me? I live here, and we take where we live often for granted, right? I sit here every day in my coffee in the mornings. I'm like, I got to share this with people. I built the platform over the river. You've seen it, and we chatted one time. I catch fish, bass, straight bass, right from my deck. Don't even have to go. I'm in the kayaks. So my shadow programs, right? The shadow programs where take trainers. They've asked me, can you spend a day with me? And I said no. Right? People wanted to come here for a day or two. I'm like, no. But now I develop shadow programs where the fly-in we spend 2.5 days together. Small. It's intimate. It's only 3. I don't take any more. If you can't fit my truck, we drive around together. There's no room. So it's very small and intimate. And I fly in and I put them in the resort in Brudenell. It's a beautiful resort, little down there in PEI. And it's a full-on experience where, like, living a lifestyle that I like. What is the lifestyle? It's not just training dogs, right? But they're going to come here. It could be like early mornings. Like you want to get up in 4:35 with what I'm doing. Like you're going to come this time of the year. I don't bring people because it's cold and they don't want to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and go hunting ducks. That's in front. Yeah, that's down at my place. There it is, right there. It's coming together. There's right on the river. So we do breath work on the deck, ice baths right there on a full moon. So full moon's right there.
I'm such a good freaking producer
Gosh,
here,
you're
bro.
good, man. Where'd you find that stuff? Like, I can't even find that stuff.
That's all that you sent me. This is what you've sent
This
me.
is just my place in front of my house, but then there's all of PEI. That's the night. Hey, don't just pot. See that right there, that photo? That's the night that the sharks were jumping out of the water. I'll tell you that another story. Everybody's
I
gonna be like,
remember.
"What?" I almost died that night. That was scary.
That's when
But it
God
would have been an
said,
awesome night to die. Look at it. That's the way I want to go. If you zoom in, that's me and my dog, Cole, on our sea kayak. This is what I do a lot of, folks. Hunting or fishing in the for our dog food. So fishing mackerel, and this is my life. You know, when I'm not teaching or coaching or doing like other things, like as much as I can. Oh, so what I do is I bring students to the island. It used to be just the school only provided this, but now people say, "Well, I'm already a trainer." Like Bill's like, "Well, I don't want to go to your school, but can I come to or whatever for a couple of days?" Yeah, and because I'm a CHPC coach, I put that into. So you can come. We spend a couple of days together, and then we do 12 sessions of coaching afterwards with CHPC, the actual curriculum that Brennan himself would coach from.
"Oh, we
And I've
got the dog, dude.
full
Let's see.
moons, you name it, beaches,
Hold on.
kayaks, and you might eat something you never ate before. You never know. But
Here's
at least
the
it
dog.
helps trainers learn how that they can live a lifestyle they want to live. Right? What's this one?
This is at 7. We just got the dog.
Oh, you
Like
got it?
this is the first picture, the first video of him ever. So that's him.
I can't wait, Bill.
Yeah, he's
Labs.
gonna be. He's something.
My two dogs are go-to. The two dogs. It's kind of nobody's going to be surprised. Number one,
Oh,
I
he's
was
good.
my first dog. Like growing up, Labs were my heart dog all life until I met a Malinois. Holy smoke! I first seen one when I was in Colorado, and I'm like, what a lanky, skinny little coyote, because I used to hunt coyote. And I was like, why do these guys want them? Until I got in a suit and it bit.
Yeah.
I
Then he
was
got
like,
nitro.
oh, I think I'm a good. Yeah, and I got addicted right away, and then I got nitro. Speaking of that, before we go, we talked about your puppy there. I can't wait to see that little dude. I have, and I want to get him Maligan. Nitro passed away a couple years ago, right? After the X Dog Vest course the fitness course, the vest that I shot for the vest. Nitro was in it. He was like 17. Anyway, he died of cancer. It was a couple weeks after. But thankfully, over the past few years previous, I have 2 breedings. I have sperm collected, and that's been frozen of Nitro. And Nitro, I don't know the pedigree, but anybody in the NePoPo world, right? A lot of people in the sport world. There's my doggy when he was younger.
Look, there's you in the back here.
Yeah, his father. So Rodin.
There's
a lot
Adrian.
of people told me. People say I have a Rodin is my dog's great grandfather. Well, Rodin is my dog's father. So I have the son of Rodin, he's gone, and I have 2 breedings. Next year, I would like to get a puppy again. When some of this health stuff figures out, that's my goal. I want one now, but
this was 2016, bro.
That dog did bite work for about an hour and a half with every IACP student there was, because he was in the hotel all day, and he wouldn't quit for nothing.
Yeah, it's great.
It's funny too. On my YouTube, there's a video of me working the street corners at that location. Remember that one where I was doing the flips and the spread them, and all the strange people and Nitro would walk up and go between your leg. It was fun.
Awesome, brother. Well, let's say bye to everybody.
Yeah,
it's been over 2.5 hours of our talk, and love
that
you,
was the
dude.
goal. We're done.
Yeah, we're done
now. Bill, let's hook up again sometime. I can't wait. And
we'll announce the dates on the Patreon. And Gina's part of the Patreon, so she'll be there, and
yes,
we'll announce the breathwork session and do maybe a little Zoom call beforehand.
But so here's how it works. My goal, I'm going to put out a link, not now, but the link will go out to the Zoom and when I'm going to be on to do it, and then they can log in. They're going to need, and I'll either put the video, I'll either get them in the group, we're still developing whether we can build the group in our platform, so they just go in there, or I set the link. I can't produce the 9D sound in my platform in Kajabi. It just doesn't do So it is on Zoom. Zoom gives you almost 90% of the quality. Then you can't get much better. They got it nailed down. The only thing better is being in the room with the headset. So I'll send a Zoom link, and then I'm going to give this out to your group for complimentary, and they might just go through the journey. I'll monitor. You go through it as well. I'm actually going to include others in that link, so it'll be because I promised to give other people this for free too. I want to share this medicine, and I want their experience and their feedback.
Beautiful.
And I'm interested in that first before we go right at it. But it's in my crew, in my membership for them as well. So I'm learning a little bit the Zoom aspect. As soon as I do it, I've been trying to get at it for 3 weeks live, but just with the workshop in Boston coming up, and we only have a couple of tickets left for that. So that went really well. We're live streaming that, which I'm actually surprised there's more tickets than the live stream at the moment. So in person. So live stream is only, I think Shelly put it down like less than a couple $100, and they get 30 days aspect. So that's all there.
Where do they get that? Where do they get tickets for that?
You can go to dukeferguson.com and workshops.
Okay, I got the links in the comments there.
Yeah, unless there's a link there that has unless Shelly changed it because it was the what they call the Black Friday. We didn't have a big sale, but my promotion to get my workshop on there ended up with this time of the year, and I'm like,
oh well,
Black Friday, the live streams.
Let's try it out.
In there. Yeah, I mean, why not share the word? Help people out. Okay, Bill, thank you so much.
Of course, man. Say bye to everybody.
It's been awesome.
And I'll say bye to you in the studio.
People,
You stay right there, Duke.
I won't move.